Hello everyone, welcome to the
Hello.
one that people will be most interested in, the opportunity for you guys to call each other names and for me to be as impartial as possible and not to do that. So hopefully you're going to enjoy this list review and you'll get to see all the people's lists that you're going to potentially be facing in next weekend. Or if you're just nosy and you've joined us because you want to see what the Scottish scene is like, then welcome along and you'll get to see some of these lists. If you've not been on or not followed the stream before, then we just ramble on, involve the chat as much as we can, and for you guys, just chuck any comment in, as long as it's not too rude, then we will read it out and we'll have a bit of banter as we go through these lists. So if you can't tell from the nameplates at the bottom, I am Kieran, I'm at Heresy.Scot, the founder of the events along with my friend Nico, and we've got Richard who has joined the squad here.
Hello. Hello, everyone.
As long as you can hear him say hello there, then I don't have to muck about with the audio. Oh, Richard is very loud again, Rachel is saying. All I can do is try and turn you down on my side, Rachel. Richard even. I've turned you down.
Try that. How do I sound now? Still loud?
Richard is quite a bit louder. That's just how he is.
No.
At least you can hear him. That's a first for us to get someone on without having to click on the setting. Still quite a bit louder. Better, but still quite a bit louder. Hold on. I can turn him down even more. Right, Richard, try again.
How loud am I now compared to Kieran? Try it. Nope.
I'd say it's less Richard and Kieran too low. That has been a problem. So the only thing I could do is I could try and unplug it or not. But hopefully, if we're both equal, you can turn your volume up, and then you won't have to.
Yeah.
I promise I won't scream, because I don't know what that problem is. I've got my volume up right loud. The only other thing I can do is this, and hope that you guys don't get deafened. But hopefully, it'll be alright. So as long as it's fine, if you can hear us, then we will carry on and hope for the best. So yeah, we are going to run through. I think the order is going to. I'm not whispering, D. I'm definitely not whispering. I can hold it like this the whole time if you want. I'll wiggle the thing in there in case it's some sort of setting. Maybe even push some buttons on this and see if it's something to do with that. Has that made any difference?
Keep going. Keep saying.
Anything? Has that made any difference? No.
Keep speaking. Whilst you're pressing the button.
It doesn't. There's a button that's got a plus and a minus. I can't push any more plus. It's making beeping in my ear.
That's gone up there.
All right. Okay. Now you're echoey. Rachel's saying. Dearie me, never get anything right on this. Now, still echoing? I don't have an echo, and I can hear Richard fine.
I don't have an echo either.
Takes too long for people to reply, so I'm clicking lots of things and then it'll end up, who knows if I fixed it or not. Well, no one else has said anything like you're in a cave. Yeah, I don't get that, that's weird. Yeah, as Willie has said, it's definitely not one of our episodes without there being massive tech issues to go. There is. What else I can try on this? I have to see if have I got too many inputs on.
Hold on, I've got an idea. Let me just, can I?
What about now? Maybe it's you. Yeah, okay, right. So that's it all fixed now, because I have turned some settings off here, so either it's Richard is making me echo or I've fixed it on my end. Right, okay, so it might not be you, Richard. You can come back on and we'll see. Just speak up. So I'm still quiet, but I'm not echoing anymore. This is the bad bit, because I had this. Yeah, is that echoing through Richard or not? Pronounce your works. I think you made a typo there. Anyway, no echo, right? You can be loud and echoey or quiet. Fair enough. I'll try and not scream and talk a little bit louder. Anyway, that's boring. We've spent 5 minutes trying to fix tech issues again for the 9th stream in a row. Maybe one where it was just me, where it didn't, but we'll go for the 9th stream. Hopefully that'll be the end of tech issues. So yeah, we're going to talk through sort of the story of this. I won't bore you to death with the details, although we keep the stories quite short anyway in our events, just because some people don't tend to read them anyway. So I don't want to spend ages writing a big long story if no one's going to read it. And also I'm a terrible writer that would never get a job in the Black Library anyway. So the story essentially was that last time the Traitors got a bit of a doing on the planets on the outskirts of the system, and they're retreating further into the system. They've been told to regroup in these next 2 planets that we're fighting over, and one of the characters in particular has had demonic influence, has brought him to the planet safely. He was about to die and he got saved by a demon, and the implications of that for the planet will depend on the results of the weekend. So what I'll do is I will hopefully, yet again, pushing the boundaries of tech in Heresy.Scot, by trying to share my window here, which if I turn off us and they'll disappear. Farewell everyone. Then turn this on and off. It should hopefully. Oh, it's not, but I know what I've done wrong. If I can. Oh no, it's done it again. Oh, that's a bummer. That's fine. I know. As long as I pick window capture and I pick the right thing, then I'll just make a new one. I did practice this, so I should be able to do it. Oh. Very typical of this decided not to work now. Really practice things and it makes no difference. Right, we should have disappeared. I need this to work. Here we go. Right. Yeah, I could hear you through Rachel's stream. So the only thing that I've changed there for people that have this problem, or in case it ever happens again, is I just added the exact same setting again. The old one's still there, and it still says you can hear him, but no, we can't. You can't actually. I don't know. Whatever. It's working now. Don't touch anything. It's working.
This is absurd. Magic or something.
Yeah, I wish I understood OBS properly, but I don't. Yeah, so some of the new people actually, there's a couple of people in the chat that I don't think we spoke to before. Petitioner City, if you want to introduce yourself as well. Yeah, I think you are pretty much spot on. I don't think that it's difficult, because I do think there is a spot in the Heresy in particular for almost like a roleplay-esque concept, but I'm not sure that it kind of doesn't quite work for that. Someone has asked if the lists have been done yet. Not even started yet. We're just about to start. Sanji one. Don't worry, it'll take a while. It's 40 lists to get through. And hello, Alex. It's good to have you. So yeah, so just added in about Havoc being a communications world. It's going to be part of the story. Each planet does have benefits to the people that are fighting on it, or negatives depending on it as well, which I've kept a secret from even Richard, who had to look over the missions for me. So I think, unless you saw them, I can't remember. So hopefully, what we're going to do is we're going to click on this, and you're going to get to see the traitor lists here, hopefully. I'm praying it's going to come up. It looks like it to me.
Yep, it looks like it's coming up.
So we'll do the traitor lists first. And the reason for that is because I know that you have seen them, and you haven't seen the Loyalist lists, and I'd like to see your reaction to it as you get to see those. So we'll start with the traitor list, and for those that are in here, I'll put them up on, when we get through a list, I'll share it in the chat, and then I'll share it on Discord, or I'll share it on the group as well, so you won't have to just see it once and take notes or whatever. So these are in no order, but well, they're in our order. The order is the order of ticket sales. with a little bit of shuffling where people have had to get a refund and cancel their ticket or whatever. So there's no, don't draw any indication from the order of the lists, because that isn't how I've graded them. Certainly isn't. So we'll just work through this list here. First one up, and actually I've never really asked anyone's permission to do this, I just did it. So hopefully the people that are named and shamed or named and thumbs up don't fall out of us.
No, we don't shame on this stream, Kieran.
No.
Come on, we don't.
No, we absolutely don't.
Our viewers do that for us.
Yeah, well, that's what the point of this is, so you guys can slag off any list you don't like, but I'll be avoiding that as best as I can. We'll go through and start with Henry. So Henry's taking the Emperor's Children, Sacrificial Offering. Some of these lists I've had to edit in terms of the way that Battlescribe has an output. Some of them don't really, like you'll see when we get to Terminators, because Battlescribe just puts them in a big long list that's really tedious. I haven't edited them to that degree because I just don't have the time to be spending individually fixing these, but I fix them where I can. So I'm not going to pretend to be an expert, and hopefully, Richard, you can keep me right if I am saying stuff that's nonsense. But I don't think even you would claim to know the ins and outs of every region and every army in the game.
Oh no.
And what we'll do is we'll just sort of, if we make mistakes, correct us if you see it. But it's just about that sort of overall feeling about a list and whether it's fluffy or whatever that we're going to be talking about. So Henry has put in, he's got a chaplain and a herald as his starter, and I mean, you already get a big thumbs up for a herald from me. I just think heralds are underutilised, considering how the sort of the heresy is that sort of knightly medieval style where you'd have your banner, and your banner's the most important thing on the battlefield for some reason. So I don't know how you feel where you've got a command squad, so how do you feel about that?
Yeah, it's nice to see a herald. I've not actually used one myself, but I think they are underutilized. Judging that they can take the Rite of War because they've got Master of the Legion, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
And then what was Banner of the Eye? I think you get, is it +1 to your charge for a unit themselves?
If you're wanting that. So it's
I think it is.
Banner of the Eye's got a weird one. It's like it actually worked. The Traitor one's miles better than the Loyalist one.
I'm just going to get to it myself as well, actually.
It is. Banner of the Eye is +1 to charge and run and reroll hits of 1 in assault on any turn that they successfully charged.
Oh, that's really good.
So that's pretty good. And if he dies, an additional victory point is given away, which is obviously the sort of knightly banner thing. And then the chaplain. On you go.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say, I think maybe one of the reasons you don't see heralds so often is because people usually load up on those choices with stuff that they know is going to deal a bit more damage, or is part of the meta. If that makes sense.
Petitioner City, Alex, you've asked if it's the experimental herald rules. We do allow experimental rules at our events for the destroyers and things like that, but that is the book rules. So I think they actually got Master of the Legion as a bonus in the experimental rules. But that's the sort of stock rules.
Yeah.
And I definitely think they're Ovelection. I can't quite see how to pronounce that properly. You can correct me, type it out if I'm saying it wrong. Yeah, I think the Traitor one is just a little bit better. But that's fine. Chaplain, I mean, I love chaplains. They were the staple from a World Eater list because of all the stacks they give, and the Fearless for charging armies essential. Can't really go wrong with that. And then, so I don't want to. I'm not going to rush through, Richard. You can talk over and I'll stop talking. Just I know we've got 40 lists to get through. We've only done the HQ of one and we're 20 minutes in. So he's got.
On you go. Maybe best thing to do is just go through the list. Then we'll just pick out things we like and want to talk about more on, rather than because otherwise we'll be going through each unit and then stopping, starting.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Well, when I'm scrolling down, if you just shout out if there's something that you want to talk about, that's fine. We can do it that way. So tactical.
No, on you go.
Okay, tactical assault squad. Yeah, pretty standard apothecary detachment as well, which you see a lot of these in these lists. I think apothecaries have become what everyone wants to hold their army together with. 2 sabres.
Yeah.
A couple of people have taken sabres at this event. I think they are probably the sort of, I could see a meta almost forming with them just because of they're fast and they have a gun that can punch a little bit, but they are quite weak, so I'm not sure how people will do if they get shot at a lot. And then he's got Fire Raptor, Storm Eagle, and they're probably 2 of the best flyers in the game.
Yeah, definitely.
Jet bikes. I quite like this sort of list of it being quite a fast list. I know he's going to have his. He's probably get well. The only thing that can go inside the Storm Eagle is his tactical marines, so I wonder if that's why it's a bigger squad. But everything else is going to be quite nippy in this army.
Yeah, I think that part of that might be due to his right of war choice, but we'll get onto that. Just you just continue through that.
Okay, and then a Sakaran tank destroyer and a Sakaran battle tank. There is a shitload of Sakarans at this event. I guess people have just decided they're the sort of cool looking tank and people want them, so there's loads of them going to be here, which is brilliant. So it is probably my favourite Space Marine tank, so I like to see them. Then he's got his poor allies that are sacrificial lambs. They're pretty standard. I think most people would probably pick Grenadiers in that situation, just because they're a bit more tough, or last a little bit. And then he's managing to get his one lonely Lehman Russ battle tank and he just defense line to hide these guys behind. So you'll know more about sacrificial offering than me. I think you've used it before, but it's that's pretty standard. You don't spend lots and lots of points on your militia allies in that case. You just want something a bit more dependable, I would have thought.
Yeah, the good thing about it is your allied detachment becomes stubborn within your deployment zone, so they're going to be hard to shift. So I think that's why the rest of his list is probably quite nippy. Get in front of everyone ASAP.
Yeah, there's some good comments there of that poor Lehman Russ. I hope he paints it in special markings if it survives. I think Henry's plan is to do a militia force, so I think that's where that's coming from, really. I don't think it's I think he just didn't have enough time to get them all painted. But Neutron Saber.
It's a good right one.
Yeah, I think it's a good one. I think it's like it kind of fits the setting as well, because at that stage in the Heresy, Space Marines were heroes, but like they totally would let 1,000 people die to save 3 Space Marines. They didn't care that much about it. Like, they saw themselves as better in a lot of ways. So, especially when you read some of the early like Horus Rising and stuff, where Horus gets wounded and they just stomp all the poor humans to death to get Horus to the apothecary.
The only other thing I was going to say about the list, that's a good wee combo on that Herald with the Sonic Shriekers. Because I had to look that up. -1 weapon skill in enemy models in base contact in assault. A model or unit equipped with Sonic Shriekers. So that's pretty good, that. Because what's he getting? What's the Herald giving him? +1 weapon skill?
Hear me. I'm going to carry on because that's up to Richard to sort. He's going to have to. We've done one list, otherwise we're going to take forever. So I'm going to carry on. And Richard, if you hear this, jump onto the chat if you can't get it to work. I don't think it's my side because I have not. If we could hear you and then we suddenly couldn't, I've not touched anything. So if you can hear that, then just try and find a way of getting back on the call. I'll stay on the Discord chat, and we'll sort it out. But I'll carry on, because otherwise these poor people who want to see if we're going to rip them to bits will not get to hear it. So my favourite bit of the last list with Henry, I really like the Sakarans. I think he'll have some good combos with these flyers as well. And I think it does sort of play to Legion strengths. So we'll plough on and chalk this up as another Heresy.Scot adventure. So then we've got Alex, who was going to bring Militia and has switched to World Eaters. So he's got a pretty standard Traitor. He's running Berserker Assault. He's got a Chaplain, Like, I think he's kind of similar mindset to me. The chaplain helps the World Eaters get into assault, and that's kind of what you need. He's got an apothecary to put on the jump pack as well. Oh my god, Richard has just deafened me again. And we've got a squad of red butchers inside the land raider, pretty standard. And then we've got a contemptor with 2 fists. It's very World Eater assault heavy, which I quite like. Then he's got his 50-man assault squad, which he's put some. I don't tend to put many fancy weapons in my squads, but it's good to see he has. And he's done the same again with the next one. Then he's got a expanded tactical squad. He's got a Sky Hunter squad, normal jetbike squad, which get the chain axes for free, which is something that is pretty tasty for if you want to shoot from afar, but also have the ability to charge in as well. And then a land speeder squad. I actually run a very similar list to this when I had my World Eaters, but I found them to be a little bit. The land speeders are probably the weak point for me, so it'll be interesting to see how he gets on with those. Although I never tried Hunter Killer missiles, which will be interesting to see. Then you've got the standard. Almost every list at Heresy.Scot event seems to have a Spartan with a flare shield, and then he also has brought this. They're both from the same neck of the woods, so I wonder if there's some sort of Venator requirement to play the game in Manchester. But no Lord of War in this one either, which is interesting. So, has anyone? This is amazing. Yeah, Richard has jumped in. So I don't know what that is, Richard. What I might do is plow on a little bit, and hopefully Rachel's doing some tech support, and she can work out what we think it is. If you jump off the chat thing, because I can hear you grumbling in the background, which means other people can hear you grumbling in the background on the call as well. So either mute yourself or you can do some Googling on your side while you're jumping in with comments. So I think the key thing on those 2 lists so far is not having a Lord of War is interesting. I think there's certainly scope in those lists to have one, but I wonder what the sort of the rationale is for not having your Primarch or something like that in there as well. But I think we'll find with that list as well, with sort of the core being these assault squads, I think this list will actually do all right, because it's all as you'll see in the missions are quite about grabbing objectives, not so much about splatting your opponent. So having something quite mobile will probably benefit these people. Then we've got the third list, which is Nick's Thousand Sons. He has taken first Primarch to appear as an HQ because he's running that Rite of War, the one that has King in the title that I've forgotten. He's got his Damocles as well. Then he has a Destroyer Squad, which I get. There's one very interesting Destroyer Squad heavy army, but not on this side of the Heresy, on the Loyalist side. But there's quite a few Destroyer Squads make the cut for people. There is a Quad Launcher Squad. There is a Rapier squad as well. So Nick's obviously going for a bit of backline shooting from afar, trying to pick things off with rapiers. A veteran squad, a lot of veterans in both sides of the event. I think people have sort of tweaked theirs to suit what they need them to do, because there's 2 melta guns in this squad, and having machine killers is probably what Nick's got in mind for using them to try and pick off some vehicles. Then they're in a Rhino. And this is what I was on about with Discord not having a very good format. So there is a Sekhmet squad, and you can see all the breakdown of what they have. They've got combi meltas, which is probably the sensible choice for having if you're worried about popping into blowing up vehicles and getting to kill the nice insides. Then he's got another squad, which this time have combi plasmas, which again, if you're facing any Terminators, you're probably going to want something that can deal with them. And then a bog standard 4-stack squad as well, which shows that he's kind of leaning into that heavy Terminator, Sekhmet, Magnus and Friends approach. Then he's got the fancy, I've never actually seen a squad of these before, the fancy sniper rifle squad that Thousand Sons can use. And 2 Vindicators, which will act independently. He's not squadroned them, he's treated them separately. So I assume this is kind of the angle there is trying to stop. If someone brings like a heavy Terminator list against him, he can deal with it with what he's picked. And using his own strengths of his Terminators, get up the board. Which I think is quite an interesting, sort of very narrative-y list of having that. Well, Rachel has taken command to try and get Richard back in the game.
You will go quiet for a little bit.
Stuff here if you can still hopefully hear us. Can you hear us now? Alright, well if you can hear me.
Well, I've just put you back on audio input. Audio output was capturing Richard, but because the input is going straight to OBS, it's not going into Discord.
So hopefully Rachel saved the day.
No, I haven't.
Oh no.
I've not done anything. It didn't work, so I switched it back.
We're just trying out to see if we can get the voice to go to the right place. Hello? Are you still hear me, Richard? He's gone.
Yeah, it's gone.
As long as, like, it doesn't matter, just gonna have to leave it, because otherwise, as long as people can hear me, it's just gonna have to carry on. Richard, I'm sorry, you're in the ether. I don't think I've done anything because it was working before, but we'll see. So as long as you guys can confirm you can hear me, I'll want one person to say it, and then I'll plow on, because otherwise this is very sad. Well, it's meant to be the happiest day of getting people to do it. Cool. I didn't want Richard's input anyway, so that's fine. So yeah, I think that'll be quite an interesting list. I think it's going to rely very heavily on the psychic powers of Magnus and friends to pop bigger tanks open probably, but there's certainly enough weapons in there that they can teleport about and do it. I can hear you. No, no one's replied. Wait, before, it's not been long enough. Can you guys hear Richard? Because if not, then sad for him. No, right, they can't hear you. Set output again, Rachel's saying. I can't have 3 different outputs if I keep doing that. I need to cough. If I keep doing just outputs, it's going to do nothing but just have a million outputs of audio captures, and it's not going to work. Keep deleting old ones. I'll end up removing the one that I actually need.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
People are saying maybe it's working. Like, genuinely is. It's just like the exact same thing we've always had that we know how to fix, but it just seems to be doing issues. Anyway,
just awkward.
I'm going to plow on. If people can hear you, then you can chip in with your croaking and.
Yeah, hopefully.
So anyway, we've had a lot of comments I've not managed to read yet. So someone wants to be the most fun person to play against, which is very healthy. Stephen said he's used a lot of vets in his list before. I've never really ran vets. I don't know why. It's nothing really like personal against them. I just don't seem to run them. So
they're a great wee unit. when you give them a role you specifically need them to do, they're great. But if you go into a list with them just, trying to deal with everything with no focus, then they don't really do much, or they don't feel like they're worth their points in that regard.
There's your top tactical input that hopefully people heard. Otherwise, I'll just keep it for myself and no one else will get to know about. So we're going to have to motor on now. Otherwise, we're going to never get this done. So Kev, World Eater player up here. We've played with him quite a bit. So he's also kitted out quite a strong Praetor. I think that's kind of the theme you find in nearly every event or every list. You don't want your Praetor to be crap. Like, you're not going to have a bolt pistol chainsword Praetor. I think they come with a power sword actually. You're not going to have a bolt pistol power sword Praetor probably. You're always going to go for the Paragon blade, and you're always going to try, if you've got the points, to put like an extra attack on or something like that. That's what most people seem to do. Then the Primus Medicae, a very classic. It's gone out of favour a little bit, I would say, meta-wise in the games I've played lately, but there was a period where every single person seemed to run one. So interesting that he's clinging to the old ways, and then introducing the new ways with a Warmonger, which I imagine the idea there is to use him to teleport in a big blob of Terminator somewhere.
Maybe. I just want to check something on his Praetor.
Don't start saying it's like wrong, because I've not got this. Won't have the time to fix it.
No, nothing wrong. I just wanted to compare something, points wise. So he's mastercrafted for 15 points. Yeah. How much is digital lasers?
Well, they're 15 points. I meant I've deleted all
15
these
as well.
points, but they're 15 points.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just wanted to check that. I just wasn't sure. I thought digital lasers were like 10 points maybe, but no, they're the same.
No one in the chat has sort of disputed the Praetor fact, so is anyone wanting to chip in with that while I plough on through this list? So we've got the classic, we've got the Spartan with a flare shield and armored ceramite, which is something we don't see very often because it's expensive. With the Terminators inside. Which means these are probably not the squad that he's going to put all these guys in, like his Warmonger and all that. I imagine this small squad with Lightning Claws is the idea there of trying to get them where they need to go with the Warmonger. And it's a small squad, so shouldn't mishap and die or get placed at the back of the board, hopefully.
Yeah.
I've not upgraded my Praetor. You have not upgraded your Praetor, Stephen, but that's only because you didn't have the points. Anyway, so this is where a lot of people are bringing rhinos for their troops this event. I don't know what has changed. It's very rare I've seen you run them, but I don't.
I was just going to say, everyone's obviously just looked at me and just gone, that's what I need. I need a rhino on my list.
Yeah, something like
the
that.
Unsung hero of the Space Marine Legions.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Hey, leave it alone.
Love a ridiculously highly tooled Spartan. They'll have Haywire. I'm not in such a bad spot. Yeah, I think Haywire tends to give something there that you can fight back against the sort of flare shield Spartan-esque thing, but you need a lot of hits with most of the guns. Like Graviton only gets you the one Haywire hit, so it's not necessarily going to solve the problem. Then he's got his sort of compulsory squads there in the Rhinos. Volkite Calivers, also in a Rhino, which I don't know. That's where I would maybe say I would have maybe made the change of having them on foot just because I want them to shoot. But he might.
Agree.
He maybe wants to move them forward on turn one and get them somewhere good. So maybe that's the plan.
Maybe.
The classic Javelins, which also feature very heavily in these lists. There's still the Kraken Penetrator. What I'm getting from this list is that Kev is the classic. There's an Arcus in there, another Venator. I think the Venator factories must have run dry producing the Traitor sort of armory for these events. But yet again, no Lord of War for him. So it's sort of interesting that I wonder if there's almost a split. I'd need to do the stats to see if you take a Venator, do you take a Lord of War? Or is the Venator your anti-Lord of War, and that's why people are picking it?
That's what I'm getting from this. And do you know what, actually? I actually almost did that for this list as well. I was like, I've not got a super heavy tank, so maybe I need a Venator just to stop their shooting. I think that's sort of the wavelength you go down.
Yeah, probably.
Because it is probably the best anti, not for destructive purposes, but it's the best anti super heavy in a way by making it have to take snapshot.
So it might be something like that. Look, keep an eye out. Any Venators come up, see if there's a Lord of War as we go through it. There's people slagging each other off in the in the chat, calling grudge matches, and also having it working on Titans, I think, is the key. We don't tend to get many Titans in events. Well, generally, I don't tend to see many of them, but yeah, the Venator there, if you can get that off and stop the Warhound shooting that turn, then you're pretty much laughing.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of the classic. I think that's the sort of list I would have run, very similar for my World Eaters. So Kev, we'll call him the old school. Hopefully he doesn't mind that. So then we've got Ed with his Night Lords, Sevatar, which is the first named character in the lists. Oh no, we've had Magnus, but it's one of the first sort of normal characters.
Yeah. Non-Primarch.
He's gone for upgrading him, which is cool. And then 4 laser destroyer rapier. There must have been some sort of message from Horus that said, watch out, there's going to be a lot of heavy tanks on the Loyalist side, so bring all your rapiers and all your Sakaran Venators to the war zone, because that's 4. I've never ever seen someone run 4 laser destroyer arrays.
This is why Forge World have taken a week to dispatch mine. Because Ed's got all of them.
So, I mean, there's nothing like the one thing rapiers, in my opinion, when they've got a full crew, should be able to move and shoot. When they lose a crew member, they should be the rules as is. But that's me on my high horse. I just don't think I find them that useful for what I try and use them for. Because usually around turn 3, you have to move them.
I think every 6 months I check the rule book to find if there's a rule for rapiers moving and shooting. I'm pretty sure I do that. just because I think
surely they can. Surely they can.
They're on track. There must be a rule somewhere.
The Spartan with flare shield and Terminators inside again. No real surprise. We've already had a prediction of if his Stormblade isn't there, I'll be disappointed. We'll get to that. Night Raptors, they are the compulsory choice in this list, and they are what they are. They're brilliant. I think they're very good. He's put 9 chain glaives in every squad though, which is hefty on the points.
That is expensive.
But also, if it gets where it wants to go,
then they will dish out some damage.
There's definitely a lot of trouble for some people on the receiving end of that. Then he's got a reconnaissance squad with sniper rifles, which I imagine is to benefit from like night fighting stuff as well, is getting something on the board that I don't actually. Do they come with a Nuncio Vox by default? 'Cause he's not picked one, so it's not like he's using them.
That's what I was just thinking about.
Maybe they do.
I don't know. I'll check anyway.
Because that would help your guys get in.
Because he's probably. I wonder if he is deep. Well, I suppose it depends on the deployment and whatnot, and what's in front of him. If he's going to deep strike those Raptors or not.
Then there's a Deredio, which is his anti-air by the look of it. And then, surprise, surprise, you predicted it. He does have his Stormblade in there. Foolish traitors have barely got any 2 or 3 up saves. Stormblade's in there. To the surprise of not you anyway, if you've already predicted it. So yeah, Stormblade is pretty good. I mean, the blast, being able to put is that the one that's got the small blast, the smaller blast, and the bigger blast? It's pretty good. I think it's a really good super heavy. So I'm not surprised that that's the sort of thing that a couple of people have put in to back themselves up. Then we've got Martin. On you go.
So a recon squad doesn't come automatic with an Nuncio box.
Okay.
You do have to buy it.
It could well be that I have accidentally copy-pasted it wrong, but I would have thought that was kind of the key component in his concept there, so I'm surprised that he wouldn't find the points to do that. So if you know him in real life, you might want to give him a jarring that he's maybe forgot to put the Nuncio Vox on. But yeah, you can see the strategy with that list. It's the same as the World Eaters. Get over the board and charge things as quick as you can. And nothing wrong with that because it's a perfectly useful killy strategy. So then we've got Martin with his Thousand Suns. Having a Forge Lord and a Psychic Forge Lord is very interesting, I think. I didn't expect that in the list. Whereas he's obviously the core of a Librarian and a Praetor. He's gone
a psychic Forge Lord.
yeah, sort of speak to the machine spirit.
Yeah.
He's got his Tactical Marines and Rhinos. He's got a Melta-Gun squad and a Rotor Cannon squad, which obviously the Thousand Suns make them a bit better.
Yeah, the Asphyx shells.
He's got his Blady guys and Sekhmet in there, and the Assyrian Dreadnought as his elites. All pretty good. I mean, if I had elites as good as that, I'd probably run them too. 2 Dread Claws, which will be interesting to see. Going by what he's got on his list, I would imagine it's probably the Kentai blades that are in one of them, but he's not got his Melta Guns in anything. The Melta Guns are walking, so you'd probably want to put them in something that can get them where they want to be as well.
It'll be interesting because it looks like he's got a few options for those Dread Claws.
Yeah.
That Dreadnought, the Assyrian could go in it. It's 5 Sekhmet, 10 blades, the Meltas. Maybe it's a wait and see deployment situation. I wonder.
What's Graeme say? You can't outsneak the 20th. Yeah, he does. We need to do. Yeah, you need to find out if you can find out if Ed needs his Nuncio Vox. He might genuinely put it in. It's my copy paste error, but find that out because he might have to change his list up. A minor tweak like that doesn't matter. But yeah, I think Martin's list's going to be interesting. I think that freedom to decide what you're putting in the Dreadclaw on deployment is actually underrated in a lot of people's
it's really
mind.
Powerful.
Compared to like a dedicated transport where you're like, oh well, it's that or nothing.
Or nothing, yeah.
So that's pretty good. Backed up with his Castellax. Does the Forge Lord, is that how you unlock those Castellax? That might explain why he's got them in there. I don't tend to run a Forge Lord, so I don't know if, and I don't run Thousand Suns. Maybe Thousand Suns can only get those Castellax if they have a Forge Lord.
I'm going to be honest, I don't know about the Thousand Suns, but the fact that it's their own Castellax, I wouldn't have thought they would have had to take that Forge Lord.
Graeme will know, he's in the chat.
Yeah.
He hasn't paid for the Nuncio because he has no use for it. Oof, okay. He's a bold man. He's going to be barreling just deep striking and hoping for the best.
Always live on the edge.
Yeah.
That's what I say.
Then Laser Destroyer, Legion Vindicator. Again, it's quite, I mean, I'm probably going to end up saying this a lot because there's a fair few units that are repeated, but it's another unit that quite a lot of Vindicators in this event as well.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. I wonder if it's sort of the front armor 13 and you get within 24 inches of me and you're dead is putting them in lists, or a Laser Destroyer version. Then
I'm just seeing Finn's just asking, does his Forge Lord have a happy robot machine?
Well, that's what.
So that'll be the Cortex controller.
Yeah.
I think he's on about.
I don't think I saw that. Go back up.
You do have to pay for that.
Nope. Anyway, that's not. Maybe he's done it on purpose. I don't know. But that would be interesting to know if you can. The Castellax, presumably, you can just take them. But that's fine. Then I'll admit it now. This is my favourite list on the Traitor side. I'm saying it now. I don't know if Lewis is in the chat. Doesn't matter. Lewis is just taking full militia, and when you look at what he's got, I'm sure Finn will love this list as well since he loves his militia. But he's just got what you want. So he's got his leader, who's a bit tarted up, although he'll probably die in one hit, which is the classic Imperial Guard style. He's got his command squad. He's got another command squad, which is interesting. With my Solar Auxilia, I only really run the one big blob, so it's obviously they're cheap enough that you can afford to run multiple of these guys. He's got this many, 80 militiamen, which is just fair play for painting that many.
Yeah.
Most people can't be fucked to paint 20 tactical marines, so having 80 bog standard 85-point squads, take my hat off. That's brilliant. Then he's got his 5 las cannons, which is, since they're a troops choice, you'd think militia lists would be a bit heavier on the like 5-man las cannon, 5-man missile launcher squads.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think the strength is in the swarm.
Yeah.
Really, myself. Particularly when he's chosen +1 strength, +1 weapon skill on his guys. So they're essentially all going to be mini space marines with crap armor.
Yeah, so he's got them. Then he's got Ogrins as well. A really small squad, which I wasn't sure. I take it they come in 3, and he's added 3 more, going by that point.
Yeah.
Just like having that charging about's funny as well. Then he's taken Malcadors. I mean, that alone should get some sort of award for daring to run Malcadors in the current rules.
Yeah, definitely.
Unless he doesn't know about the current rules, and he'll be very sad next weekend. But yeah, the 2 Malcadors are brilliant.
Oh, no.
He's tried to keep them safe with Armoured Ceramite and a Flare Shield, but alas, I fear he's in trouble.
Yeah.
And he's got a Rapier Squadron as well, which is, again, as a militia dabbler yourself, you know that they're kind of key for your long-range fire.
Yeah, you don't get much
range.
options other than them.
And then 2 Macarius Vanquishers, just to round off this list. Like, when have you ever seen a single Macarius?
Yeah.
Let alone someone willing to pay the money for 2. That's just, incredible. That's a brilliant ending. Yeah, there's lots of comments there being like, madman.
What's on the Vanquisher?
Yeah, so it's a tank killer gun. It's like
Oh,
a
of
double
course,
barreled,
yes.
the double barreled Vanquisher turret.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Yeah,
So
I can see it now.
He could have taken the sort of Vulcan Mega Bolter one, which might have given him more like killy Space Marine stuff, but fuck that. Get the Vanquishers on. Why not?
Yeah,
So,
he's gonna be. I love this list. I think it's my favorite list out of here.
I think it's just my favourite because of the effort you have to go to get it ready. Like,
Yeah.
most people are like, oh, I've got to paint 40 Space Marines and a couple of tanks, and this guy's like he'll be painting for years to get this ready. Assuming he's painted it, he might be letting me down, but yeah, I think that's a brilliant list. So really funny, and I think it'll be. And it might actually not do that bad. I think it's a bit of a dark horse list in that, like, you can really bog people down with some of your blobs. And interesting to see how he gets on.
Do you know, it's not just that, it's the sheer number of... He's maxed out his troops as well. So he's as long as he is above everyone he's playing with the amount of troops he's got left, he could just take objectives and control the board like that. He doesn't need to kill everyone.
Do we have enough bullets to deal with that many men? Yeah, that's the fear facing a big swarm like that. It's a brilliant list. So absolutely like that. Top marks for that. Then we've got our pal Kieran, who is, if he is watching, then he better get off and get painting, because he's bloody he's been skipping painting to play games with you, and he knows he's not going to be ready on time if he doesn't get painting. So Kieran, if you're watching this, get the brush out and get off the stream. So he's kind of cobbled this together. I think he would admit that himself. It's more about what's painted than it is about necessarily the effectiveness, which you can see from these 4 magical words there of Fury of the Ancients, that he's definitely not going for an effective list, because you're giving away victory points galore by running that. But the good thing is he's not relying purely on dreadnoughts. I think when James ran his, it struggled a bit because it was basically like there was nothing but dreadnoughts. He's chucked in some troops that kind of will give you a bit more tactical ability to react to stuff, I think. So, like a terror squad's in there. He's got his Contemptor Talon, normal dreadnought. He's using the old Chaos one, the metal one with a big raky arm, which is cool.
Yeah, I've seen that, yeah.
And then I think there's a few drop pods in there as well for them, which I think you need if you're going to run a list like this. There is no point in standing at the back exchanging
trying to
fire.
walk.
Yeah, it's just not
Yeah.
going to work. So a couple of pods make sense. And reconnaissance squads, which were his original list idea, that he's obviously painted them and he's just chucked them in. But whatever, if it works. And then an assault drill, which is presumably what the terror squad are going to go in. And then
Yeah.
Leviathan with Dreadnought drop pod, and then Predators, which I think, obviously James probably isn't watching if you are, and I will wait and see if it comes up. But I think that's kind of interesting, the difference between when James ran the pure Dreadnoughts with the 3 HQs hiding at the back. I think Kieran's on the right track, I would almost say. Like, putting in Predators makes sense because then you've got longer range, like punishing shots you can do. I probably wouldn't have just ran the Predator cannons. I think I'd have put like heavy bolter sponsons on or something like that.
Yeah.
But I think having something that can distract from people just smashing all your dreadnoughts to bits and getting lots of victory points is the way. So it's not a bad list. I think he's done all right.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. He's sort of like, the way the list is running, he's almost trying to draw the eye in a way. And what I mean by that is there's going to be dreadnoughts in your face straight away. There's going to be a termite in your face straight away. They might just be his lesser units, bits of chaff maybe.
Yeah.
And then
they don't
the
give away
Leviathans, the
victory
Contemptors.
points.
Yeah, the Leviathans, the Contemptors, they're going to come up the board, and once you've dealt with the stuff in front of you, it's too late, sort of thing.
Yep, and I think that's a pretty much the strategy. If I had to run this Rite of War, I probably would try and do stuff like that. I think I'd have, like, obviously Space Wolves with Grey Slayers or something like that would be, you can't really ignore them. So that would buy the time I would need to get my dreadnoughts moving, maybe. So I think that's what the advice I would give anyone looking to run this Rite of War, is not just to go every unit's a dreadnought.
Just because you can take dreadnoughts doesn't mean you have to. Essentially. Yeah.
And then we're getting on to, so Graeme's in the chat here. So hopefully he's not ran off. He's not posted in a while. He's probably like fretting that it's coming up to his turn. Yeah, Stephen's saying he's got enough bullets to deal with the militia list, and he does, but you'll have to wait until we get to the Loyalist side to do that. So you haven't seen that list, but it's very interesting.
I have not, no.
So Graeme, he's Alpha Legion. Now, we had a wee chat a couple of weeks back about some of the things he's put in here. So Librarian, not something you see very often in a non-Thousand Sons list, or non-Space Wolf list. But the Forge Lord is the thing that got us chatting about. So at Company of Legends, Graeme basically said this was his superstar, was his Tech Marine and his Forge Lord running about. I guess it's because it's quite... They've got the potential, like those missiles with rad missiles, if you hit the right thing, like say you hit a Castellax unit or something like that, you could really like ruin their toughness.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
So I think there's a bit of a interesting that he's gone for something like that. Especially, I guess, when you've got Alpha Legion being able to infiltrate, you can definitely get that shot on turn 1.
And in range.
Yeah, so that's quite... And a Graviton gun on the Forge Lord as well. So, there's a bit of a potential there for wrecking, like slowing something up on the first turn that might have needed to move really far forward. So, quite an interesting that he's had good joy with that. The Veterans, as you'd expect, with same sort of... I don't know what the combi weapon is actually, but I'm sure when he updates his list, he can put that on.
Yeah, it'd be handy to know.
30 Tactical Marines, which is brilliant, and all in... 2 in a Rhino, one with a multi-melt and one with a combi weapon. I guess, is it because is the combi weapon a little bit cheaper? Is that why do you pay the points for the multi-melter?
I pay the points for the multi-melter. I guess I don't know how much the combi weapon is actually, because I'm sure the multi-melter is 15.
This looks like a 10-point difference.
Yeah. So the combi must be 5.
Yeah, which I guess if you think you're going to die very quickly, then you'll need one shot. One squad walking, the Apothecary's there. Now he's got his stolen unit of Death Shroud. I'm not sure if that's because he had a Death Guard army. He's not here. I think he's left. He's bailed on us. He can't clarify it, but he definitely had a Death Guard army. But actually, that unit is pretty good.
Yeah, it's a really good unit.
There's a Spartan in there, so presumably, I wouldn't want to speak for him if he can answer it himself, but presumably that's where the Death Shroud would be. And I think they'll do quite well jumping out of that. That's a pretty standard. They're up there with sort of the Fire Drakes. So if they can come out a Spartan unhurt and charged,
Yeah.
the other thing's not going to do very well. They're charging into, so not really a surprise to see another Spartan with a flare shield. The assault drill, I don't see what's going in the assault. I guess it's the vets with the combi weapon, because that's what you do.
Yeah, I wonder if that's what I would do. I would put the vets in there.
Yeah, and then the Stormblade that he'd already hinted at in the chat that he's got one as well. That is a lot of Death Shroud. You're correct.
What is the Death Shroud the ones where they can choose their armor?
Yes,
Yeah.
but I think he has them in the they're Tartaros, aren't they? Yeah.
Yeah,
Grave
it's
Wardens
Kit's
and Captain
Tartarus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope Graham's going to be at Common Ground Games and not through a Skype call. I guess someone could move the models for him, but we'll wait and see. So yeah, that list I think will do all right. I think it's pretty good with the amount of tacticals to grab objectives is key. I think when you're looking at, you've got the big Stormblade, you've got the vets are going to jump out of a termite, and then a librarian potentially is going to, if you get a good power, might help you out.
Do the Death Shroud have? Are they the ones with the grenade launchers?
They've got the flamer on their wrist. The grenade launchers are the Grave Wardens.
Ah, right, okay. What's the flamer do?
The flamer's just a shite hand flamer, I think.
Right.
But if you had 10 of them and you get charged, then you probably do all right. And then Night Lords again. That's the third one so far out of the 4, I think. So we've got Conrad joining the fray. And a chaplain. I think chaplains, I've noticing more of them lately, and I think it's because of the fearless thing. I just think that's so required in certain lists to make sure you don't just run away at the wrong. There's nothing worse than you've got an assault army, you're one turn away from charging, and you fail that bloody morale check that takes you too far away, and then you can't charge the following turn and all that. So, not surprised that armies that have got quite a lot of assault units are chucking chaplains in to lead them.
Yeah,
because he's got his Raptors with melta guns, which I don't think 11 power weapons will make a dent, but I don't remember. Willie doesn't run on his one. He doesn't run. He had some guns, but I think if I had the assault unit, I probably wouldn't pick melta guns. I don't know. It's not. I'm not.
I wouldn't either, because you're kind of putting them into two different roles.
Yeah.
You know, they've got the melta bombs, so why would you? I don't know why you would want the melta guns.
Yeah, I guess you could shoot something and pop it open and then charge it, but I'd rather have another unit do that.
Yeah, I agree.
I think if you get lucky and you shoot 3 melta guns and you blow up a Land Raider and then you charge what's inside and kill them all, then that will show me. So I think that's quite an interesting, not something I expected to see when you've got so many power weapons on the squad as well. Because it's quite an expensive squad at 425 points.
Yeah.
Then he's got Terror Squad. They're pretty standard Volkite Chargers. A smaller Terror Squad. Apothecary in a jump pack, which might explain why he's willing to chuck so many points at the Assault Marine.
The Raptors.
Yeah. 10 vets with combi weapons. 3 javelins. He's mixed the las cannons and missiles, which I think I've seen people have some joy with that.
Right.
But I don't know, I've just got this weird, almost 40k 5th edition throwback where the advice was always not to mix your stuff, and I've just never got out of that habit. So
I'm the same.
I think it does better than you think if you can like crack missile something, or if you want to like kill the AP, the 2-up artificer armor with the las cannon and then shell them with missiles or something like that. Like I can see the sort of logic of that. Then
maybe as well. I mean, maybe as well when you're coming to an event and you don't know everyone's lists. rather than playing at home. Maybe having the options, maybe just a little bit better sometimes.
He's clarified it's hunter-killer missiles.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Sorry for getting that mixed up. That's me probably not copy-pasting it properly. So, yeah, I think like our last cannon's only 10 points each to upgrade them. That's pretty cheap. I guess they come with the missiles, so...
yeah, so...
but still pretty cheap. Then a lightning with Phosphex bombs, which you don't see very often, which will be cool. And obviously the Kraken missiles as well.
Yep.
Then there is a Leviathan, which does have a Dreadnought drop pod, and that's got the melter, obviously, for getting in there.
Yep.
Drop pod, Dreadclaw is in here. So I'm going back up to see what units we've got.
We'll
Drop pod, Dreadclaw might have the Raptors. You can tell me now.
Nah, the Raptors are too big.
The vets. You can
Has
tell
he
me. He's
got
in the chat, I
vets?
think, so you can tell me.
Yeah, he is.
Night Lord's doing war crimes. Waiting to see.
Vets. There you go.
You're giving it out. You should just say, no, I'm not telling you. You don't want to tell your opponents everything that's going on. But no, I think that... Well, you can explain then if you're here. What made you put the melta guns on the Raptors? Or not? Are we spot on as saying when we're saying you're going to use them to try and pop open a big tank and attack the insides, or is there just is there a different strategy? You can tell us while we've got you pinned down on the spot. I'll give him a chance to respond. I'll go back to the list. I think like the Leviathan and the Lightning, again, they're kind of historical, quite a staple of lists at our events, and you know why? Because they're good.
Yeah,
nothing wrong with that.
They're a staple of most events, aren't they? Let's be honest. Javelins as well.
Yeah, that's what
I think they've always been pretty good since they came out.
It'd be interesting after we're done. Like I'll try and look up what hasn't featured at all. So what has nobody taken? And I bet like there'll be quite an interest in like there'll be one unit that's just not getting picked, or one gun type.
Oh wait, hold on.
They don't have...
The Raptors don't have melta bombs, so it's a quick way to take them. Plus they are assaults that could pick off things as well.
Quick way to try and use your melta.
Melta bomb 5. Yeah, sorry, I misread that. I thought it was melta bombs.
He's got melta guns, 3 melta guns.
No, but I said, why is he giving them melta guns when he's got melta bombs?
Right, okay.
I misread it. It's melta bomb.
Right.
So that's my fault.
Yeah, the leader has
Sorry,
melta bomb.
English is hard for me, even though it's my first language.
So I do think this is, it's a good... It has the things in it I would expect that if I was writing a Night Lord's list, I would want to have that sort of get right up in your face type thing. So pods, make sure that you're on the front foot. And there's also a very convenient, which will, if you're here long enough, we're a little bit behind because of all that mucking about.
Yeah.
But when we get to the missions, you might enjoy some of the benefits of night fighting when we get to that. But just give you a hint to try and get you to stick around. Then we've got Philip Miller with his Iron Warriors with mech allies. He's running the Hammer of Olympia, so he's picked another named character in Golg, who is the Warlord. He's got a Siege Breaker. It's weird his order. I think Battlescribe sometimes rejigs things in a very strange order, but
yeah,
it doesn't matter. Whatever. He's got a Siege Breaker. He's got a Storm Lord, which is another sort of common super heavy, I think, in the Legion list because it's so reliable for just picking off full squads if it does the double tap thing. Then I'm not surprised that that's there as well. He's gone for 8-man Terminator squad, which I think is on foot. He's got his Rhino of multi-melta with tactical squad inside ×2, which is your favourite thing to have.
There we go.
Which is a nice... it's a great unit. I think I don't think of all the stuff, and this isn't just because he's taken... I think a tactical squad coming out of Rhino and you put your 10 guys down and they've all got their bolters raised as if they're like spraying into the thing they've just got out to look at. I just think that's one of my favourite bits of the Heresy. I know it happens in 40k as well, and it's not like it's super exciting and stuff, but I just think that sort of vision of en masse, here's 3 rhinos, pull up, 30 guys get out, and they're all beautifully painted Mark IV, Mark III Marines, whatever. I just think that's cool.
Yeah, it's cool. It's awesome.
He's got his Tyrant Siege Terminators, which is cool. Let me see, night fighting. Yeah, well, night fight. It's not so much the benefits of night fighting, just in case that spoils it for you. It is. It's you'll see. I wouldn't worry about it. And also going back to the Melta debate, it's an expensive unit. I'd rather Melta guns to at least shoot something at range. Makes sense. It's your first competition. Don't worry, it's not very competitive, so it won't matter. Everyone will be nice about it. So don't worry about that. So he's got his Tyrant Siege Terminators. He's got a Deredio with the Volkite, and he's also got an Iron Havoc squad. I mean, that's pretty standard. Iron Warriors need that long range, being able to shoot, walk and shoot, suits them, that sort of tactic.
Yeah, that would be terrifying.
Yeah,
from the other end of the table, those 9 Terminators just shooting the crap out of you with missiles.
Yeah. Then to back it up, he's got mech allied attachments. He's got a Magos that's pretty cheap because there's not a lot on it. 10 tech thralls, he's boosted up to 20. The Rite of Pure Thought, I can't remember that one off the top of my head. It might be the Fearless one though, which are basically mindless drones.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Because you can set them on an objective, and then he's got his Thanatar, which is, it's one of the best sort of mech clear up space of the battlefield units.
Yeah.
It's, no surprise to see that in there.
Yeah.
Then we've got, now this one's interesting. We'll go through it before I say what I think's interesting, but it's Ryan's running Death Guard with the Reaping. So he's got Typhon, he's got a Siege Breaker, he's got his quad launcher with Phosphex ×2. He's got 2 Apothecaries, he's got the Contemptor, Cortus. So he's doing the Reaping. He's got a 18-man tactical squad, 18-man tactical squad. He's got 7-man missile launcher squad. But then that's it. He's not really maxed out on the heavy weapons as troops. I'm surprised that the Reaping kind of encourages that. So, be interesting to see. I'll speak to him on the day and see if he was just wanting to put points in different areas.
What else does it do for you, though? I'm just trying to bring it up, actually.
I'll carry on with you. Look it up. So he's got his Spartan as a dedicated transport, which I imagine is for the Grave Wardens, unless the Reaping lets you take heavy support squads as with Spartans. But because of the way it was formatted, I didn't know whether he meant it was dedicated for the heavy support squad or whether it was dedicated for something else. But so he's got a 7-man Grave Warden squad, a Deredio, and then the Arcus returns, and then for the first time ever, Callous Typhon leading an army with a Typhon in it. I've never seen that before, which is going to be very interesting to see on the battlefield. So if you look up the Reaping and explain what I've missed, but it kind of makes me wonder if he's not quite, like, I'm not sure what I would cut, to be honest, because he's got his Phosphex and he's got his Siege Breaker to get that. I'm not sure there's a lot I would chuck out.
I'm sort of lost as well. So you get your veteran tax and your Legion heavy supports as non-compulsory. All units in the detachment gain move through cover. Any character, independent character chosen as part of the primary detachment may be given rad grenades for 10 points each.
Yep.
So that's your benefits. We know he's not taking any heavy support squads or veteran tags. He's
got 1 heavy support squad.
No, in your troops, has he?
Yeah, he's got a missile launcher squad.
Oh, sorry. So he's got 1 squad. Okay. Yeah, you get the move through cover. Okay. You get an extra dice when you roll that. Okay.
Heavy support squads don't have, by default, they can't take Spartans, so it must be the Grave Wardens that are getting the Spartan.
Yeah. And has he given anyone rad grenades?
Nope.
Okay.
Well, the
Interesting.
squad sergeants do on the tactical squads.
Ah. So maybe that's just why he took it. He wanted rads on them.
Yeah. I'll need to ask him about it because
Yeah.
it could just be he's only got painted.
Yeah, maybe.
But it's sort of
But
interesting.
but you're right, because you would have thought he would have maxed out on taking veterans and
Yeah.
heavy support. So he could have taken. What's he got? 2 squads of 18 tacticals.
Yeah.
So
they'll be quite reliable. Just interesting.
Interesting why he hasn't taken veterans though.
Yeah. So we need to ask him about that on the day,
Yeah.
unless he's in the chat. Seem to have. I don't want to keep it. Terminators having a Spartan makes sense. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
He said he's trying to keep it thematic. That'll be cool. No, it is thematic.
Okay.
I think it'll be smart. I think he's picked the right. So he's got the Sky Spear warheads. He's got the Deredio. He's not picked a flyer himself, so he doesn't have to worry about the flyer per se. And then the Typhon is obviously going to be the thing to bubble wrap and keep safe if anyone has a termite to try and kill it before it gets to shoot. So be interesting to see that list. I think the Typhon will undoubtedly draw all of the fire, which I think will allow a lot of these units to be quite targeted. So no one's going to try and pie plate and 18-man tactical squad when they're going to have to try and kill that Typhon early on. So you might find later in the game, you might have killed the Typhon, but now he's got all these squads where he wants them to be, and he's going to rip you to bits. So I think that could be quite a shrewd list there. Can the Typhon be instantly destroyed? It cannot. It is a super heavy. It's a 6 hull point super heavy. So he'll probably find that will weather a bit of fire, which will be cool. And putting the armoured Ceramite on it makes sense.
I mean, the comments about the right of war choice and what he could have taken and not taken, regardless of that, I think the list's all right. I think it'll do pretty good.
Yeah, I think
actually,
when you look at the missions, and this is obviously we've had, well, you haven't because I didn't show you them till after you'd put your list in, but knowing what the missions are, I think a list like this will do pretty well. Apart from there's a mission where there's a sort of a punishment if you just fire pie plates about, so he might struggle with that. But the other ones, I think he'll do quite on. Typhon's a bit of a beast himself, so I think he'll probably do all right. Then it is Paddy Lambert with his word bearers. So Paddy has run the Armies of Dark Compliance one, Pride of the Legion. So he's got Chaplain we've already Chaplain to death. He's got Zardu Layak in there. Layak? I don't know how to pronounce it. Master of Signal as well. He's chucked in a Contemptor Mortis. He's got his Gal Vorbak. 9 of them, 10 of them, I guess, when you count the squad leader.
Yeah.
Which is massive squad.
Yeah.
Which, why not?
Yeah.
He's got a Terminator squad in a Dread Claw.
Okay.
With combi plasmas. He's got a veteran squad and a Rhino with a multi-melta. He's got another veteran squad and a Rhino with a multi-melta. Both of those have plasma guns as their special weapons.
Yep.
Ashen Circle, 10-man squad, which now they've been upgraded are actually good.
They are
They
so
were
good now.
So shite before.
They went from -1 to 10.
Yeah, they're really good.
That was mental, crazy.
Yeah, they've done really well to get that, and they deserve that sort of. It's French Layak. I don't believe you, Lee. I'm not going to say it like that. Yeah, so I think it'll be interesting that Ashen Circle. If you know what they can do now, you'll probably try and deal with them first. But if you don't and you think they're still shit, you might find you get on the receiving end of several AP3 attacks. I think they're pretty good, and I like the models as well. They kind of deserve better rules because they're
really cool.
They're such a unique looking unit out of all of the stuff that's come out. To then have them come out and be so crap, then I was a bit disappointed with them. 10-man Flak Missile Launcher Squad, another Venator, and a Spartan with Armoured Ceramite and Flare Shield. I assume Gal Vorbak can go inside a Spartan. They can go inside a Dreadclaw, so don't say they can't go inside a Spartan. I would imagine that's the plan with them. And they're going to be brutal when they come out of that.
Yeah.
So they
I
are
love Galvor, but they are on my list to buy for my Alpha Legion.
yeah, really cool. Just the sort of concept of it, of being like the first possessed almost. So
Yeah.
quite cool. And Zardu's quite cool as well. I think his story's quite smart. He's not. I didn't like how he's been when he got written into the Black Library books. He was a bit of a weirdo. I didn't really like him how he was portrayed.
Yeah.
But I think as the sort of the Black Book version, like this little story about him is quite good. So
Yeah.
I think that this list's pretty good. I think this will be
Yeah.
quite
I
thematic on
think
the table. I know Paddy's been working on them. He wants to summon demons, which suits that sort of evil bastards.
yeah.
The space bastards that he's created. So I think he'll do quite well with that list. Last time,
it's going to hit hard. That yeah.
So I've got 30 Ashen Circles sitting around waiting to get until I promise I've started it before the buff. Yeah, I'll take your word for it, Bing Bong. Last time I used Ashen Circle, I scattered on the Deep Strike, landed in some trees, and 4 of them died. I think Deep Striking, obviously it's a short game, but Deep Striking is savage. If it goes wrong, you can just be dead. Or you might as well be dead because someone's going to put you at the back of the board and you can't get to where you need to be. It's a bit savage, but I can
That's
see.
funny. Somebody did that to me recently as well when we were down at Warhammer World.
Yeah, it was a smaller board though, and you won that game. Anyway, so I think that list's quite good. I think it's got a good sort of combos in it, and it's got quite an interesting narrative throughout it of the sort of the space bastards coming to get you. I think that'll do quite well. Then we've got an Alpha Legion list, so you'll be right up here. Matt McDonald, he's got Alpharius as his HQ, so he's taken the Primarch's Chosen, I think it is, which I thought was a Zone Mortalis only one, but I can't remember. So Alpharius, Damocles, Master Signal, who's presumably driving the Damocles. Apothecary Detachment, he's got his augury scanners on there, which are always helpful. Lernian Squad, and again, Battle Scribe or Quartermaster, like to put it, is very annoying format. So looks like Volkite Chargers and Power Axes or Chain Fists.
So they come stock with Power Axe and Volkite Charger.
Right, okay.
So he would have upgraded. What's he done? He's upgraded one to Chain Fist.
Yeah, looks like it. 2 individual rapiers with laser destroyers. A reconnaissance squad with sniper rifles. 2 vet squads where he's put metal bombs in there, and one's got heavy bolter, suspensor weapon, one's got a missile launcher one, and a plasma gun and a melta gun. Again, that sort of, it's that like he's made them be the sort of do everything. So he's got an AP2 gun and a AP3 missile launcher, and he's got a heavy bolter and a melta gun. So he's obviously like wanting to make sure they can do everything, which is interesting. That's like the opposite of how I try and build my army. Not that I'm saying I'm right and he's wrong, because I'm shite at the game, but it's like a very interesting that some folk want to have the ability for that one-off shot. Like you want to, if I can't hurt this rhino with what I've got, but I'll shoot my melta gun at it, sort of thing. I think that's quite interesting.
It's interesting he's given them weapon masters as well in that build.
I wonder if he's wanting to get close.
So you'd think you'd dish out, save those points on that melta gun and that, dish out some power weapons.
I think
that's what I would do anyway.
Power weapons start to add up in cost though.
But like I said before, I find when you're running, this is me personally, like if I'm running vets, I always pigeonhole them into one role and make the most of that. So if I give them weapon masters, I'd be giving them power weapons.
Okay, I guess that makes sense. 2 individual javelins, multi-melta las cannon, a storm eagle with the usual stuff because you don't get the las cannons for free. A Xiphon, which most people tend to take lightnings, but Xiphons are pretty good in their own right as well.
Yeah, if there's another flyer on the board, they're fantastic.
Yeah, 5-man las cannon squad and a 5-man Volkite culverin squad and a Scorpius. So when you go through like that list, it sounds like it's a lot. There's a lot of stuff. A lot of individual, like this can do this and that can do that, and Alpharius is in there. You forget, like we've gone that far through the list, I'd forgotten he was there. There's a wee bit of everything in this, and I think this list is going to be quite versatile.
Where's the I wonder where the learnings are going.
We could go in the Storm Eagle.
Can I?
He's not put any.
I've never used a Storm Eagle. I don't know if they can take Terminator.
He's got like 25 transport capacity.
Aye, but like some.
No,
like
it's not
some
getting in like that. Now you can take
No.
anything that can go inside.
Ah, right, okay.
So that's probably what.
You know what? They'd be all right over there. Never thought that.
Weapon skill 5 melter bombs, as Lee's pointed out, I guess.
Yeah.
If it does the job. But I think you hit on 3s anyway.
You're hitting on 3s anyway, yeah.
So the Whirlwind's nice to see as well, because that was for a while everyone was taking that, and then the Arcus came out and just did it slightly better, I think. So nice seeing that. So I think that's quite a nice list. I think that's going to be versatile, and it's kind of I always need to remind myself it's easy to sort of look at a list and be like, that's quite generalist, but he doesn't know what the mission is. I've written the mission, so I know what I'd take. So I think that list will do quite well on the missions that we have.
How big are the veteran squads? 10?
10, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think you'll do alright.
Yeah.
So that'll be a good one.
Are they in rhinos?
No.
No.
So they'll be fine. I could do alright. I almost feel like have I been too naughty, like not nice to people? I'm not slagging any list off. If anyone's gone away thinking I've said your list shit, it's not. Don't want to put people off coming. I think all these lists are interesting. I'm just so please don't feel like I'm slagging you off. So moving swiftly on.
No, we're learning things here.
Now I think James Hughes is the person. I'm just going to double check on my phone. I think James is the one that cannot make it. Who just sent me a message saying that he couldn't make it because he's got COVID. It is James Hughes, so I guess we'll just skip this one very quickly. So Master Signal, Praetor, Contemptor, Quad Launcher, Sekhmet, of course, with 1,000 Suns are very good. Veteran Squad, there's a small, normal tactical squad in a Rhino, normal tactical squad in a Rhino. There is a Plasma Gun squad. And then there is the Primaris Lightning McCracken Penetrators, the Castellax. You must be able to take the Castellax, but a Forge Lord doesn't have one.
Yeah.
Castellax is there. Las Cannon Squad, a Land Raider. It was like pretty interesting list. I think that could have done quite well, especially with all the psychic powers and stuff that you'd get off. But unfortunately, he decided to get COVID rather than come to Stirling, which is, I can see the debate that some people would have about having to spend some time in Stirling trying to get COVID to get out of coming to an event. But there is a ticket available on that note. I've got someone interested, but if you know of anyone who's not managing to, who didn't get a ticket the first time, then get them to send me a message. And if this person doesn't take it, then they've avoided the slagging or the review. I won't be doing another one, but it'd be good to get the full capacity if we can. So Simon, with his word bearers, Chaplain again, Adamocles, Zardu again, which is pretty cool to see him again. I think his model. On you go.
Sorry, no, on you go. I
was just going to say Zardu's model and the Blade Slaves are pretty cool.
Yeah, no, they are really cool actually. Gary's used them a few times. I don't know if it's because I kill him straight away, but I've not seen him do much in games against Gary. He usually goes home a bit disappointed with him, but maybe he'll learn something from one of these players this weekend. The Chaplains are is there something about word bearers and chaplains I'm missing?
There's something about they have to take one in one of their rites of war, I think.
Charismatic leadership. A primary detachment force from word bearers must take a second compulsory HQ, and this must either be a centurion or chaplain consul. That'll be why.
Yeah.
There we go.
So pretty, in terms of word bearer standard HQs, I think. A small vet squad, which he has not upgraded, but in a drop pod. then this is where it starts to get. I think this is the one that starts to get crazy as the more you get into it. Then he's got a Galvorback 5-man squad and an Anvilus, a Galvorback squad and a drop pod. Which actually I need to check that because I think they have to be in an Anvilus, don't they? Someone correct me. There's something weird with the way it's worded on their thing. Anyway, I'll carry on. Someone can correct me. Another Galvorback squad and a drop pod. Another Galvorback squad and a drop pod. Like, that is an obscene amount of Galvorback in drop pods, which is pretty cool.
What's the Right of War called again?
See if it's at the top. Doesn't actually say it there. It could be at the bottom.
It's the something sun, isn't it?
Last of the Serrated Sun.
That's it.
Then he's got. He's picked an Anvilus anyway. He's got a Leviathan, which has a Dreadnought drop pod. This one didn't copy paste very well, so it could be that it's not copy pasted properly in the way that he wants it. But there's a funny feeling I've got that you need to take. They have to be inside a Dreadclaw, I think, the Galvorback. They don't get to go in a drop pod, but I'm not sure. I'd have to double check that.
I'm just looking at it right now, actually.
Everyone's saying Wordbearers have to have a chaplain, yep.
All units of Galvorback have access to Legion drop pods and Anvilus pattern Dreadclaw drop pods.
That's fine. So we're cool.
Yeah.
But then I've not got to the good bit yet of this list. One Right of War requires to be on a flyer, otherwise they're just bulky. Yeah, I don't think they can go inside a Rhino because they can't take bulky models. Which is what Stephen's just said. But the absolute like shining diamond in the crown of this crazy Galvorback list is the Suborbital Strike Wing, where he's taken 3 Crusade Fleet Avenger Strike Fighters and put them all into Space Marine Leader. That is amazing. That's just like crazy. I've never expected anyone. I've never ever seen anyone take the Suborbital Wing in the first place. But having someone taking it like that is outstanding. 10 out of 10. Love that list for that, because that'll do really well, like flying across the board as one big, like just sweeping up weakened squads with those, because the Avenger's the one that's got the nose like mini Vulcan mega bolter, isn't it?
I was just going to ask you.
I think it's that one.
Yeah. So
I think this will do quite well, because you've not got a lot of time to deal with the stuff that's deep struck next to you. So that'll be a really cool list to play, I think. Get some Kenny Wilkins. Yeah, danger zone. So that'll do quite well. And I think that's going to be quite a cool list. Then we get onto this horrible toady list. Which we'll let the people judge. We'll let the people judge.
Let's see what they say.
Got a Warmonger. No other HQs. There is Lernians with Perfists or Chainfist and Volcate Chargers. You've got Rapiers galore as well.
I'll need 2.
Then,
well, we might have 1. It depends when Forge roll dispatch.
It's really weird the way that Battlescribe and Quartermaster put these out. Like you almost want it just to say 2 of the same rather than doing that.
Yeah.
You've got your Cacophony, which are debuting at this event.
They are.
You've got your Jetbike Skyseeker Squadron, which are also debuting at this event if you get them finished. They are the game that we used them in. They were pretty good, pretty annoying to try and deal with them when they can just jink the wee hearts out. You've got the Tactical Squad with the standard Rhino Multi-Melta times 3.
3, yeah.
You've got your Power Dagger Power Fist combo as well on most of your guys. Tactical Sports Squad didn't quite get very many plasma guns, but you've got your 7.
8.
8 including the Sergeant,
yeah.
Cestus Assault Ram, your Arcus, which is a bit of a staple for you with the Sky Spear, and then bringing up the rear.
I'm infiltrating twice there.
So. Yeah, you get to do that twice. So good you can do it twice. Delete that now while it's there. And then Alfarius bringing up the numbers there. So let's see what the people judge. Over to the people. Give him a score
What do you
out of
think of
10.
that?
Get in the bin.
Get in the bin. Hey, Finn, I like you.
He's a loyalist in this event.
Yeah, I know.
What's
We all
his
make mistakes.
Alpha Legion air horns? 10 out of 10 in the bin. Yeah, I can see who's on what side going by the response of each person. Graeme, you've gone away and missed. I just did your list a wee while ago. Were you sitting in rage and didn't want to bias our look? Um,
Oh, my love heart didn't fucking go on properly. That's better.
a purple heart. Well.
So, do you want to know anything about that? Any choices?
I've played this list enough times to know what it's all about.
Yeah.
I don't need to know any more about it.
Nah.
At least you don't have the typhon this time. So, like, it's fine. Like, you don't really need me to tell you what your list's like. I've played with it when you used the Sky Seekers in a game against me. They were like resilient enough to be a nuisance. Probably wouldn't say they were game breaking. Could have drawn you that game if you'd flung them forward and turbo boosted to get on the deployment zone.
Yeah, that's been stupid.
But
I think that when they're paired up with Alfarius, they could be really good. Judging that they're giving me +1 a hit.
Yeah, and then you're getting your rerolling.
Marker line.
Yeah, I think like in terms of a force multiplier, you don't really get. Alfarius doesn't get any better. Probably isn't anyone else in the game. Maybe Rogaldorn has the same sort of ish benefit, but it's not. I won't bore people to death by talking about your list.
No, let's go on.
We'll just move on. People can give you a score out of 10, and we'll move on. Then we've got Rich, he's World Eaters. So Karn, which I think doesn't have an E, he's spelled. Take that off now. Upgraded to a Gore Child, because you kind of have to, because the Cutter, I think it's called, is pretty rubbish. He's got Damocles, he's got 2 Apothecaries, which I get, like, number of Apothecaries at this event is quite high as well. 10-man tactical squad and a Legion Rhino, a tactical squad with 15 guys that will just be walking, assault squad, 2 Xiphons, which don't tend to see very often. I've seen 2 Lightnings a fair few times, but not 2 Xiphons. Normal Legion Outrider squad. I like how he's sort of just casual with his BT as well. It's carrying BT. It's like a BLT with sponsons with heavy bolters. Whirlwind Scorpius, the Spartan, of course, the Spartan. Then he's bringing a Fellblade, which is beautifully painted. I think we've seen it at an event before.
Yeah, really nice.
And yeah, I think that list's actually pretty good. I think he's got enough guys to run about hitting things with his World Eater abilities, but then he's got the stuff to back it up, like his Xiphons and the Sicaran and the Scorpius, and the Fellblade, of course. So he's done. I think that list will be pretty good.
Yeah, really good.
What's your coils unit? Cacophony. I've answered them already. So I thought we talked about the Death Shroud, Graeme. I'm thinking that's in part because you had a Death Guard army and you kept them, but also that sort of jumping out of a Spartan's pretty tasty with them. But you missed us like talking about how good your. Oops, I just ran over my. Maybe that's why my microphone doesn't work very well. I just ran over the cable. We talked about the rad grenade, rad missile, and how that had done quite well. So if you want to regale everyone with the story of how they did at Company of Legends, then fire away, because I think that was quite interesting how you'd got on. Like a small unit like that no one takes, being a bit of a hidden gem, is pretty good. So that would be good to share that. Then, as you've said, another Alpha Legion list, Graeme. Lewis is bringing his. He's got Dynat, so we're only missing that sniper guy. Has he got rules?
Exodus.
Yeah, has he got rules?
Yeah.
No one's taken him. We could have had the clean sweep.
There's a reason for that, Peter.
Well, there's not that other guy, actually.
He's a sniper and he doesn't have sniper.
There's that other guy, the one that got the Forge World event model. He's not there either.
Oh, yeah.
So he's taken his own Vigilator. He's not want to take the other guy. Contemptor squad with the dual assault cannons. Another Lernian. We're kind of Lernianed out at this stage. Everyone's got the Lernians in here. He has This is one of these ones where the unit just goes on and on and on. I'll just scroll
Yeah,
down it.
it's just the way Battle Script does it.
Yeah. A Plasma Blaster in there, though. He has 10-man tactical squad in a Rhino, another 10-man tactical squad in a Rhino, but he's taken the Dozer Blade, he's not taken the multi-melta or combi weapon.
I can't afford Dozer Blades.
Another tactical squad, though, he's filled out on them. Same thing again. A 5-man plasma gun squad, a headhunter kill team, which none of you guys have taken, which he's got a couple of. 2 7-man squads. He's got the Xiphon, he's got the Vindicator as well, which makes... Oh, actually, wait a minute. Oh, no, sorry, it's just the name of the squadron. So he's got 3 laser destroyer array Vindicators, I think.
Nice.
Must be.
Oh, and Machine Spirit.
Yeah, which I'm not sure that...
Right.
I guess that works, because you could split the fire right off the bat, but that'll be interesting to see. I would have thought you'd only put one on so you can shoot something different and leave the other 2 without. But
well, I suppose as well, in case he has to snap fire or something, at least one's going to shoot normal.
Yeah, so but like I think in terms of being able to split that off and shoot, like if you see a Rhino's weakened and you don't want to shoot 3 laser destroyers into it, it makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
So they'll do quite well, I think. And he's got the coils of the Hydra. I think that list's pretty solid in terms of what it is. Again, it's a lot. I think some people just seem to have managed, unless they're cheating and they've taken 4,000 points, some people have managed to just cram a lot of infantry into these lists. It's really cool seeing sort of some people have gone really small elite, like the God of War back drop pods. There won't be many models on the board there. Whereas Lucy's one, must be at least sort of 50 models, more than that, 60 models maybe on the board, which will be quite cool to see. So I think that list's going to be pretty good. And then you'll be glad to hear we're on the last one, and we can have a wee break after this and get a glass of water. We've caught up a little bit on time, but we're still a wee bit behind. So Chris with his mech. Now, before he even gets started on Chris's list, he has named all of his individual units, which is big thumbs up on the fluff front for that, because that's really cool to see, having taken the time to do that. Something that I think Welshie is, and he always brings this massive like fluff document along, but he's not finished writing it yet. So I think he's only named these characters, but he tends to do the same. I just really like seeing it. I think it's quite cool when someone will take the time to, if you can kind of make it matter like at an event. So his Archmagos is Scoria in the rules, but it's called Caradhras then. So it's kind of changing your narrative to suit like your own wee Forge World thing. I think that's quite cool. Chris has done good on that. So yeah, Scoria, we know him. He was at one point the absolute daddy, and they kind of toned him down a wee bit. Then he's got 2 4-man Castellax squads, and they'll do, like the Dartfire cannons or the Mauler bolt guns will do quite well at thinning out squads, I think, which he needs because he's got fewer models than most people will have. And then he's got his 6 Thalax as well with Ferox. I think Ferox is that maybe Sunder or something weird like that. It's like a weird, I can't remember the rule. Someone who's mechy will be able to correct me.
I don't actually know either.
And I think that's, in terms of that, his only scoring unit is technically his Thalax, I think, because I don't think Castellax are scoring when they're taking his troops.
I don't think they are.
Yeah, I think they're denial units.
Somebody can answer that question.
We've got a mech person in the chat, but all he said is a Scoria list, and it won't be the dirtiest. That's Ferox is Angry Assault. Okay.
Right.
So I'm pretty sure Castellax aren't scoring, but I guess
Is it Cybernetica?
Yeah.
Ben's asking.
It is. It's quite punchy, this. I think that'll do. I think the Castellax, if you don't deal with the Castellax early enough, they are just like the sort of unit that will just spray fire every turn and really mess with your battle plan. So I think this is quite a cool list. I think like having the alpha beta concept behind it, I can see like a if I was playing this list, I'd be going after the Castellax first, trying to take them down before they get to do the Dark Fire Lances and all that stuff. But we're not done going through it yet. He's got 3 Vulturax, which I think he's put as individual unit. No, he's not actually. He could run them as individual. He has. He's called them different names, sorry. So I'd run them as individual units rather than having a 3 big squad. And they're cool models. They have kind of was the one thing the mech were lacking until these came out was decent air unit. So I think these will do quite well. I'd like bring them on, nip to something that you want to die, split them up, and like work your way around the board. I think they'll do quite well. And then the Nightmare in Silver, which is the best description of a Thanatar there's ever been. He's got his Thanatar there. And yeah, I think Thanatars are pretty good. I think the problem they've got is they're so big. Like they are destructive, but because they're massive, most people, even if you've never played mech before, you're going to see someone put that down and think, I need to kill. Definitely need to use my plasma guns on that. So they kind of suffer from their scale, but they are pretty good. I think they're a good unit. They look cool as well. And I'm assuming...
Are the Voltorox, are they flying MCs?
Yes, they're, flying monstrous creatures.
So you can start them on the board.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, probably want to, because he's not going to have many models otherwise. He's only going to have like 16 models if he doesn't have it on the board. Be interesting seeing that anyway. Good. And he's a great painter as well, so it'll be interesting seeing whether it is silver. Graeme will know if he's able to.
Chris is in the chat.
Is he? Oh, he is. Are they silver or not? I've not even got to the end of your list yet. Graeme must have Graeme's told him to come in at the point we're talking about his list. He must be worried we're going to say something horrible.
So he's monstrous creatures, that's it.
He's got his Lord of War, which is his Knight Dominus, which I've never seen. I know they added them. Be interested. I think that if you had something like a Lancer, I can kind of see what a Lancer does. I'm not sure what the Dominus does. It just shoot all its guns at as many things as it can and hope it kills them. It seems to be quite like gun heavy, but none of the guns individually are spectacular. So need to find out what. Chris, give me a review of your Knight Dominus and what it's good at.
Yeah, I've never seen one in the flesh.
Toxic meta. I don't know. I've never played one, but I think this list, I think, is like we said about the sort of be interested in seeing how you're going to get on objectives, Chris, because that denying them's fine because you can just deny a unit and it's done. But the Thalax are going to have to be your like superstars nipping about the board, I think, to make sure you can get the objectives to score.
Chris, are the Castellax scoring?
I'll carry on because it'll take him like 10 seconds to catch up with what we've said. The Vulturax will be really good at denial though, because they can just drop out and just land next to something and be a denial unit. So I think this could be quite a shrewd, like walk the Castellax up the middle of the board. Scoria's going to do his thing, and then use the speed of the Thalax and the Vulturax to kind of nick an objective or two. I think that could be quite tasty. And obviously the Knight's going to be, are you going to kill the Knight? Are you going to kill the Thanatar? That's the sort of, those decisions I think are kind of key in games. So be interesting to see how he gets on with those.
So we were right, they can't score.
Basically just cross your fingers and hope you can hold one. Well, I'm not going to try and argue with shoving the Thanatar or the Knight or the Vulturax off one. Yeah, exactly. If you get lucky and you can kill it and descatter. So we've kind of sped up a little bit because of the technical issues. So we've done the traitor lists there. We will have a very short break so I can get another glass of water since I can hear my voice getting crackly, and then we'll go through the loyalist lists and we'll try and do them a bit speedier as long as no tech issues happen in the time I hit this button, please.
Don't say it.
But yeah, we'll see how we get on with that. So can we mention my top? No, right. So the only issue this is a technicality. So Chris had originally taken allied in 2 knights, and the way it's written in the book is that you treat Questoris knights as mech on the ally chart, and when you go along mech, so you go along mech. How do mech treat mech? It's blank because they're the same. And it's
Yep.
not clear how you resolve that. And I actually emailed, I spoke to other event organisers, and I even spoke to Anuj and said, I know you don't work at Forge World anymore, but how do I resolve this? And it wasn't, still not really clear. It is weird. I think hand on heart, it's obviously like just a really poorly written chart because up until the Red Book came out that has Knights, Solar Auxilia, and Militia in it, it wasn't possible to ally Militia with anyone because they didn't have a space on the chart. They weren't told what to do,
Yeah.
which is just weird. So there's obviously an issue surrounding that chart in particular because what do you treat them as? Because we had this conversation with Chris, and I was saying do you treat them as best pals? Do you treat them as worst enemies? Do you treat them as individual armies? In the fluff, like my night house was, um, I wanted to do Cadmus because that was one that I really liked, and they are in the Heresy time. They are basically a mech allied house. They have the cog on their logo. And in 40k, the whole story was the new guy who's in charge of House Cadmus has taken the mech cog off because he wants to go his own way.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously in 30k they were like super pally. So how do you resolve that? How do you technically it's not possible to ally them, which is odd.
Yeah, it's just yeah.
So I think we'll get through this one. What I really hoped was a month ago they were going to bring out the box set and it would have solved all of this and I wouldn't have to think about it.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, let's just get through this one. Everyone's happy with the decision, I guess.
I don't
So
know. Sort of wait and see what Chris says when he catches up in 10 seconds. I think we get through this, and hopefully by the next event we've got a new box set and it answers it. But it's a bit iffy. I think that's an oddity that maybe if I'd had a bit more time could have tried to bottom out a bit better. Anyway, so he's not fallen out with me and he's not asked for a refund, so it's obviously all right for now. So what we'll do, take a quick break just now, and let me get a glass of water and have a pee, and then we'll go through the loyalist lists and we'll try and go a little bit faster, just because I know it's been going for a little while, but it um, would have been a lot faster if we hadn't had that weird Richard broke the internet moment. So we're back in, we'll say about 3 minutes past 9, just enough time to get a drink, and I'll be back, or we'll be back. Okay, hopefully we're back, and with a bot coming to try and get us to buy follows. So we're going through the Loyalist list. You'll notice one name at the top there. If he wants to start defending himself now, then now is the time. It is Finn with his White Scars. So no one in the chat has seen this because Richard didn't get to see the Loyalist list. I asked someone else to look over the Loyalist list who was on the Loyalist side. So he is not. It's a shame I don't have the technical know-how to put his like let you see his face as we're going through these lists to see what he says. What I'll do actually is I'll put the Traitor chat. I'll give the Traitor list into the chat as well if you want to have a wee. Hopefully you should not be able to. Don't edit it. That'll really piss me off. I don't think you can because I turned editing off. I'll just make sure of that before anyone gets. Yes, anyone can actually look at it. That's fine. Anyway, so you can have a look at that if you want. If you ask to try and edit it, it won't let you, so don't. Right, so Finn, your HQ. Quinza, the repeated, someone else has taken him as well. He's a good HQ. You've got your Terminator Command Squad, a Contemptor Talon, where you've gone for the Dual Fists, 2 Ebon Keshig squads, so quite Terminator heavy so far. Then you've got your Rhino of a squad inside, Rhino of a squad inside, Rhino of a squad inside, which is like it's kind of weird.
Good choices.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that that's. I would say that hasn't happened in the past, but I might be biased in saying that it's kind of like an odd. Have we gone to the tactical marine meta now? Not that that's.
I hope so. I hope so.
Then he's got his 2 individual land speeders, Grav and Multi-Melta. As I've already said, I've never found that to work that well for me, so good luck. Hopefully it works better for you. An Outrider squad with just the bolters, no plasma for you, and a couple of Predators in a squadron with a Predator cannon, but las cannon sponsons, and then an individual Flamestorm Predator with heavy bolter ones. You'll need to explain the machine spirit. Not sure. I guess I can sort of see, because the cannon can only shoot one way, you might want the heavy bolter to shoot at something else, but you'll need to explain that one in the chat.
What's that on the Predator?
Yeah.
With the
Flamestorm.
the flame pattern.
Yeah.
The Flamestorm.
Wait.
Well, I guess he's shooting a template, isn't he? So if he's got Snapfire, at least the machine spirit will let him shoot it still.
That might be the point. And then you rounds it off by having his Mastodon, which is like comes out of nowhere when you've got like, here's all your Terminators and Rhinos and shit, and then it's like Mastodon, which I mean that's what it is. What it is. It's a beautiful big tank, and he's gonna have his
cool
guys Terminators jumping out of it, presumably. Spartans are for the weak. Don't say that. Chris is in here. He's the double Spartan man.
That'll be cool.
So I think that's it's a good starting list to go through for people to see what the Loyalists are all about. So
I'm going to be looking forward to seeing how these White Scar units do. I might buy some myself. So
so Graeme will have them in his shopping basket as well.
Because I see me and Graeme just speeding over from the corner.
So then we've got Alex with his Black Shields, which have been a sort of a regular at the events as well. I think they've jumped side to side, which is very fitting for Black Shields who haven't picked what side they want to win. But he's got a Forge Lord, a Navigator. Now I think that's a hangover from Zone Mortalis mode, because the Navigator in Zone Mortalis is an utter beast. And I'm not sure, unless you have it in a transport, I'm not sure the Navigator in a normal list will do quite as well, but he might have. I can't remember.
Really?
Well, because how are you going to get it? It's only toughness 3.
Cheers. That's not what I would take one. I would take it just for that -1 a hit when they're shooting.
Maybe he's got that in there.
That's why I take him.
Destroyer Squad, they're pretty good. With some Phosphex bombs, a Terminator Squad as well. I think that's 2 Terminator Squads. Yeah. So he's gone quite Terminator heavy as well. Then he's got, I don't know enough about Marauders. That's not something I'm particularly, like Black Shields have kind of passed me by a little bit, so I don't know what a Pariah Flamer is. I've got a feeling they're kind of like quite heavy assault squad, like they're capable of assault squads because they've got chain axes in the Marauder squads.
So the Pariah Flamer, that's got Torrent,
Okay.
so that could be really good.
Then he's got a shotgun, melt-a-gun flamer. Like, this is a beast unit right here.
Yeah.
I think that'll do quite cool running across the board. A support squad with Pariah Flamers and a Rhino. Javelins, which I think is his converted one, which is, I think it's, that's the conversion he's done. That, like, I love that because it's just such a throwback to the good old days of White Dwarf.
The OG roll-on deodorant.
And he's quite big on his weird conversions as well, which I think you kind of, when you pick something that isn't like, so Space Wolves, as much as I'm a Space Wolf player, like there's not really anything unknown about them. Like they had Wolfen, but you can kind of, in the way they're written, it's almost like, oh, they weren't werewolves, they were just guys in suits. Like the Deathsworn are meant to be kind of like the proto Wolfen. So they've not quite got that sort of uniqueness almost, where like I'm going to build a model that's, I don't know, got like orc arms. like you can do that with Black Shields if you want. So they give you a bit more of an option. He's got an assault ram, then he's got a vindicator, and then a Scorpius. And again, like Scorpiuses have just kind of, they're sneaking up on the numbers there. Not sure what people are maybe finding they don't have the points for the Arcus and they want to stick this in anyway, but interesting one anyway.
Nah, it's a natural reaction to the tactical meta.
So there's Stephen Template, Strength 3, AP 5 Torrent is the Pariah Flamer by the sounds of it. Spartans, I never saw the Spartans are for real boys. But yeah, Alex's army is pretty cool. I think Chris is spot on there. I think, yeah, it's just interesting when someone can make it their own. Like, I think when you've got the freedom, like the Space Wolf example again, we kind of know where they were in the Heresy at any point almost. Like when you can run like my Solar Auxilia, because that's a homebrew made up army, I can kind of have them anywhere. And I think Alex will have that freedom with this list to kind of do what he wants. And I think that's always useful when you're a bit of a, like, you tell stories in your head.
Yeah.
So we've got Welshie, I almost called him Scott again, with his Shattered Legions, which is like the culmination of every event he's ever been to. He's got people like representing in this list, I think. So he's got his mix. He said you better read out the names, and he hasn't put the names on, so he's shit out of luck. So he's got his 1 HQ from each, which is his. You've probably, they were up on Instagram this week, where he's sort of the Iron Warriors guy is the one that's meant to be him, I think, with the style of the paint job. And yeah, I think, what can you say about having their pretty standard HQs? He's got his Contemptor in there, dual Plasma Blaster, so he's obviously not frightened of. Plasma Blaster gets hot, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So he could blow himself up. The Mortis, Destroyer Squad, which he's been working on, he's put quite a bit of work into them over the last couple of weeks. Which, again, more destroyers. I'll need to tally up all the destroyers that are at the event. See how many we've got. We've got his Terminator Squad, Veteran Squad, which is sort of another Veteran Squad. That core, you need to have that. I think you probably have to, if you're running Shattered Legions, I think you need, like, you probably couldn't just run tactical squads because I don't think you'd get enough of the benefit. So you probably are looking for vets or Terminators.
Yeah. Or Terminators, yeah.
He's got his fancy Blood Angel guy, the Jump Dreadnought.
Yep.
The Deredio he's been working on. I don't know if, have you seen it? I'm not sure who you shared it with.
Yeah, no, it's on his Instagram. It's really cool.
The
conversion.
Sentinel, yeah. So that'll be quite smart. And then he's backing it all up with 5 Tyrant Siege Terminators. So it's quite like vet Terminator heavy. When someone asked me, Like, because usually we get kind of some lists are very Terminator heavy and some vet heavy, and some people go for the opposite end. So when I tallied it all up, I think it's pretty much Welshie that brings the Loyalists closer to the Traitor tally of Terminators and veteran heavy, because he's got like 15, 20 Terminators on his own and 10, 20, 30 vets on his own. And also Stephen will he'll be messaging in the chat saying he's done the same when we get to him. But I think this list's alright. It's kind of got the all-rounderness again.
Yeah.
No,
Interesting. See what I've picked up? Interesting that a lot of people are taking 5-man Terminator squads. Which, I don't know about you, but usually I don't really see that too often. Usually people are maxing out 10, putting them in a Spartan or a Ram. So, it's interesting.
Yeah, I think it's probably getting more... The more units you have, the more chance you have of scoring or something like that, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So Chris is saying Tyrants, bleh.
Yeah.
Also, yeah, Strength 10 AP2 Massive Blast definitely puts you off running a 10-man Terminator squad.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I agree, Graeme, squadroning, I think, given the Arcus has come and sort of put the Scorpius back in the box, I think being able to 1 to 2, that's what I kind of feel they need to be a bit more creative. I don't think you should have 3. But the same with the Deredio, I think that should be a 1 to 2 choice as well. I think there's certain units that they could just get them more on the board if they had that option, I think. Because you can do 3 Leviathans, so why can't you have 2 Deredios? But anyway, that's not what this is about.
Yeah.
So I think this list will do quite well, because there's not really, like, everything can do its own thing. Like, it doesn't need, like, if he loses his Contempt or Mortis, it's not going to ruin the game plan. So he's built in quite a lot of that sort of like not relying on one trick, which is quite good. I can't remember what it's called, the backup plan. But yeah, he's got that in there. Then we've got Stephen Palmer, who is a first timer at an event, I think. So he's got Lionel Johnston right in there. Amorita.
Oh, what? Is that the first Primarch?
Yeah.
On the Loyalist?
Yeah.
Yep.
We've got Moritat with Joe Plasma, which don't see many of them at all anymore. So it'll be interesting to see if we get some of that. A Chaplain with Combi Grenades and Tyrannic Greatsword. So that's quite shooty for a Chaplain unit, and not do too bad in close combat. He's put in his...
What's the stasis grenades again? That's your initiative, or something.
Mess with your initiative. Built-in redundancy, that's what good way of putting it. Chris saying the line. So we've got Dreadwing Murderers. Is that meant to be Marauders? I didn't know the unit was called Murderers. That's not that. I mean, like, if all the bad things in the Heresy, call it a unit Murderers. Oh no. I don't know enough about Dark Angels.
I don't know. I don't think they're called Murderers anyway.
But maybe he's just giving them nicknames if he thinks they're good. Because he's got an apothecary posse at the bottom. We'll come to that. Dedicated Transport Land Raider Proteus with the 3 las cannons. I think if you're taking a Proteus, you're probably putting 3 las cannons on it now. I don't even know. I still don't know if that was deliberate when they put it in. But it's too late now. They can't take it off because pretty much everyone's chopped their Proteuses up and put las cannons on them. So I think that's here to stay. 10 Tartaros. Pretty standard. He's put the combi again. Stasis rounds. Inside the classic Spartan Flare Shield Armoured Ceramite. The Apothecary Posse. That's got to be 2. I'll need to maybe have a look at this list because surely 120 points gets you 2.
Maybe even 3.
I think they're 55 each. They can't be 55 each because Artificer Armour must cost 10. Anyway, I'll need to look at that because I want him. This is the things I don't want to sneak through where, like, because I don't know the exact number, I won't know what to look for on the day. I'm pretty sure it's 2.
Well, I'll tell you right now. 45 points per apothecary.
Yeah, there's people are.
10 points for an Artificer Armour. So yeah, he must have 2.
Can I not play the guys with this? Surely you want to play the Chris, you want to play the guy with the stasis? Would you care? You're only like initiative 2 anyway, or something like that. So, like, you don't care. You just charge in anyway. So that'll teach him when he starts slowing you down to 1 initiative step. 250-man tactical squads. Yeah, pretty good. 6-man plasmas. Another Proteus, which is not a dedicated transport. The Xiphon again, which I think the Xiphon now outnumbers the Lightning, which is again kind of interesting. And he's got 3 points to spare. Now I think Kevin was in the thing, but he's probably got fed up waiting for his turn. So we'll see if he reappears for this one. So his list, he's done the Day Revelation. It's not my speciality, Blood Angels either, to be honest. But it sort of has what you'd expect with that theme around the very fast moving. So he's got his fast Traitor, he's got the big man, he's got the
Winners
in there as well. He's got his 3 apothecaries with jump packs, Dawnbreakers, Assault Marines, and they've got a few options in there to keep them around. But he's given the entire squad combat shields in some of these, which that's a lot of points for something that someone shoots you a bolter and you roll a 2.
Yeah.
It invariably happens. But that'll look cool. I've got a feeling, I think I've seen some of his stuff painted and it's pretty cool, so looking forward to seeing them. He did say he was struggling to get them done, so that'll be interesting as well, how rushed he was. It's like exam week is how I've been saying this week is, where I'm rushing about trying to get stuff ready, and I know there's people desperately trying to finish their models, so
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see how he gets on with them coward circles. He's painting. Oh, he is painting. You can give us an update then. How are you getting on with your painting? Force him to put his brush down. He's laughing. All right. Say no more. I can leave it at that. You've still got a week. So yeah, the big blob there. When I've run my World Eaters, that's my dream. Like, that's what I want.
So Alex Barton's just asking, does combat shields not give you an invan? Yeah, they do. But obviously, what Kieran was meaning when he says when you roll a 2, so if you're shot with a bolt pistol, you're going to take your base armor save.
Because it's better.
It's better.
Yeah, I think Bing Bong's struggling to paint. All you guys have just come on here to say, when I say to you, why haven't you finished your models? You're going to say you were watching the stream instead, and then I'm meant to feel like I've got to let you off. You get them painting. So anyway, we'll carry on. So he's got his assault core, cool. Pretty good. I think if they get where they need to be with Sanguinius in the sort of support role, they'll do pretty well. There's a Primaris bringing them up. The Kraken Penetrator, of course. And then, again, Legion Landspeeders. I need to watch people using these, because when I've run them, they've been shit. So I'm hoping someone can teach me what I'm doing wrong, because the Graviton and Multi-Metals has never worked for me. So I'll be hovering around a few tables watching how they get on. So that'll be interesting. And then the classic, especially with his Assault Cannon upgrade, the Leviathan and the Dreadnought drop pod.
It was going to happen, wasn't it?
Yeah, needs because there's not a lot in that can smash open. Like, you're relying on Inferno pistols and melta bombs. You don't have any melta bombs on your assault squads, actually.
I was going to ask that. That's something. Usually, when I do run assault squads, I usually put melta bombs on them all. Any reason why you didn't?
Let's see what he says. Yeah, Lee's just noticed who's next on the list. I played a very similar army at Edge Empire and got my arse handed to me, Chris has said.
Let's just remember that Lee said he wanted more slagging before we get onto his list.
Yeah.
So,
if you're a traitor fighting Sanguinius, charge him with a Contemptor, because he can't hurt you. Or you can check your list, Kevin, because you might have. All I've done, I've tried to tidy up lists so that there's not a lot of sort of stuff. So check, and if you meant to, I'm kind of not. I don't want to be too generous and let people change the list right up to the deadline, like the day. But if it's something like that, then it's not a big deal to send me another list and tweak something a little bit if you have to. I might be a little bit knobby if someone's like, I know I was going to bring Blood Angels, but I'm going to bring Night Lords now. Then I might be a bit like, wait a minute, you've just waited till you've seen the missions and then you've changed your list. But a wee tweak or something's not going to be a big deal. Then we're on to this monster. We'll go down it slowly because I don't want to spoil the surprise.
Okay.
So we've got the Moritat here, who's normal person, and he's got a power axe and plasma pistols. Then we've got the character Moritat, who's whatever fulcrum hand cannons are. They sound pretty deadly. Then there's the other character guy, Alvarex Maun, who's pretty good. I think he's the one that lets you bring stuff in from reserve early or something like that. It's not my speciality, so Lee, you can tell everyone how great your list is in the chat. Then we've got a destroyer squad, 10 man. He's put his plasma pistol in there, phospec bombs, pretty standard. Then he's got another destroyer squad. So he's got his same thing again, phospec bombs, etc. etc. And he's got another destroyer squad. So he's taking these 30 destroyers, which is interesting. Definitely wants to scorch the earth with those Raven Guard. So then his troops choice. He's got to have your tactical squad in there in a drop pod. He's done the same again with the next one. It's fast attack. He's got 2 javelins with the cyclo missile launchers. He's got 2 pretty bog standard dual heavy bolter land speeders. I think they're the ones I sent you. So he's got them in there. Seeker squad and a drop pods. This is really drop heavy, this list, and I quite like where it's going with that. You'll notice that the destroyers didn't have any drop pods though, and didn't have any jump packs either.
I know where this is going now.
He's got 3 Deathstorm drop pods, which I've never seen 1 in a game, never mind 3. And then to top it all off, he's bringing his Thunderhawk gunship, which is going to be carrying the destroyers. A very, very odd list. Not in a bad way. Every single model has a ride of some kind, which is good.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
Very cool.
And with the drop pods, the Deathstorm ones, it's going to make sure you'll have on turn 1 the choice of, do I need to just bring in lots of troops, or do I just say to hell with it and bring in the Deathstorm drop pods? I think this list might actually do alright, despite its sort of crazier leanings. What's he saying? There's some.
Do you know what? It doesn't have to do all right, because do you know what? It looks like a fucking really fun list there.
So we've got.
I think that's cool.
Some people arranging a wee hotel session. Then Lee's defending himself. I've never seen him type so much in the chat. Brings flyers and pods in easier. Oh, at 27. Have you not? There's only 9-man squads. I thought you had the 30. Anyway, Maun makes the Thunderhawk arrive on turn 2 without a roll. Raven Guard War Crimes, but sneaky about it. Yeah, I think like as a list, thematically it's cool because it's going to be like, this is the end of this. We don't care about this planet. We want to just scrape and scrap all the traitors away. Oh, I has forgot the melter bombs. Well, like Kevin, you have the option if you want to drop a couple of Marines or something like that and chuck them on. I won't greet about it if you send me another list. But yeah, I think the Thunderhawk, with it lacking, actually it doesn't have the upgrade, does it? Has this got rear armor 10, Lee? Yes. Well,
that is a juicy number for that Thunderhawk.
Fury of the Legion, the rear armor.
Yeah.
Shoot it down. That would be worth it alone. That would be great. Yeah,
so if I'm playing Lee, I'm putting a tactical squad with that Warmonger. That's going right in the back of it.
As soon as it arrives, so that'll be funny. So yeah, that's gonna. I think that this is the sort of list where you're like, okay, it might not. Like, I don't know if it's gonna do. It might do really well, and I'll be like, oof, I should have scored this really harshly or something. But it's the sort of list where you're like, well, we see what he's trying to do, so let's just kill them all to stop them burning my poor planet. Some of these I've tried to get rid of all the stat blocks because that's definitely not great to have on a shared document. So Elliot's bringing his salamanders, which is an army you don't see very often. So he's got the Lord Chaplain character, 2 tactical squads. Wait a minute. Oh, one of the formats is really annoying that it like repeats itself twice. So this is 1 tactical squad, a 2nd tactical squad. They're in the rhinos with pinnacle mounted multi-meltas, pyroclasts, 20 breachers, which is pretty cool. Fire Drake Terminators inside a Spartan, but he hasn't put his flare shield on, so he's going to have to remember that. 3 lasers.
Why is it 6 and 5?
I think it's because the guy on his own. So that's the 6, which is the total, and then there's 5 Fire Drakes, and then there's the Master. And I shouldn't come because Battlescribe's free, and all the people that have put all the work in have done a great job. But some of the things in it, you're like, oh, I really don't like the output. Because like whoever calls their squad leader the Fire Drake Master. It's just another Fire Drake. Who cares? It's got 1 better leadership probably. Anyway, Spartan with no flare shield, 3 laser destroyers, the Arcus, and then not a drop pod, but a Leviathan's in there, and then 5 heavy flamers in a pintle mounted multi-melta rhino. So it's quite like that. Like it's not. That's the sort of list you'd probably be like, we're recreating Istvan 5. Just bring some bog standard stuff. Like there's nothing. Sorry, Elliot, if you find out I've said this, but there's nothing in there that's sort of like. I don't know. Like it's sort of. I guess I'm too used to playing when we had our Salamander player up here. You were always sort of facing lots of Fire Drakes, lots of sort of pain in the arse, like a Primus Medicae in there, Vulcan, because he used to be able to get the benefit of feel no pain and all that stuff.
Yeah,
it's kind of this is like quite a nice list. It's not like it's not offensive in any way, which is nice. So well done, Elliot.
Yeah, because I've got PTSD from playing salamanders like that. So
let's see. Surprise, didn't have an upgrade to make it 12. I think if you pay the points to upgrade the Thunderhawk, it goes over the 750 point limit, and that might be why he's not done it. What else? So, yeah, it's not. I think Graeme's spot on that the Thunderhawk, like you can leave it alone, and it won't really do anything to you, or it'll get lucky and it'll use that gun on the top to really mess up your army, and you'll wish you'd done something about it. So I don't think it's kind of like it depends on your luck. If your luck's good, it's going to need to die. But if your luck's shite, you can just ignore the Thunderhawk and nothing will happen, and you don't have to worry about it for the entire game. So it'll be interesting. You lose points for taking a Spartan with no flare shield, Elliot. Yes, that's quite. That is true. But it's a nice wee list. I think that is quite a like that. If you were genuinely going to redo Istvan 5 and someone brought that, you'd be thinking that's nice. It's not like someone's loaded up on ridiculous stuff that's going to obliterate everyone and the game's going to be over by lunchtime. If you wanted to make a full day of it, that's the sort of list I'd like to see.
Yeah.
So if you pass that on, he's done a good job. We've got Martin with these Blood Angels. So Chaplain again. This is like Lodge Central. How many people are bringing Lodge coins to this event? Orange Walk time with everyone with their Chaplain skull masks on. Then there's he's got a Herald again, so another Herald, which I'm assuming has the Loyalist banner.
Yeah, it'll have to have the Loyalist one.
He's got a Praetor, which bog standard Terminator Praetor. Apothecaries again. Contemptor Mortis again with the assault cannons. I think the Keres is just very good. There's no surprise that nearly every Contemptor's had a Keres on it or 2 fists. It's just very good. It's a great gun. And I'm glad they made it 6 shots, not 4, because it'd be pretty pants with 4 shots, I think. Spartan, Flare Shield. Chris should be tallying these off. I'm going to have to do a list. I want to work out is how many Spartans are going to be in over the weekend and how many survive. That'll be interesting as a stat. With their Terminators inside. An assault squad. I mean, pretty standard. The Blood Angels kind of need the assault squad because they're good for them. Javelin, another Javelin. The Fire Raptor with autocannons. Leviathan, not a pod again. That's like, I would say only half of the Leviathans have had pods so far, which is quite interesting as well, because normally that's the dream, isn't it? Like the two, they go together.
Yeah.
So that's surprising
I
that people
wonder.
haven't.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not like we're seeing loads of like heavy support squads with augury scanners or that. Do you know how sometimes your meta sort of switches at that point? But you're not seeing that, so I wonder why we're not. Maybe people are just bored of it.
I've just seen Chris has said this is the list at table mate Edge Empire Martin out. He does a win at all cost gamer. Yeah, I like that. That's a interesting. The sort of like, because that didn't, again, that one didn't really like register as it's not like, I'm going to say it's not offensive as well, but maybe it's maybe your list was just crap, Chris.
I mean, I'm going to be pretty honest here. I've not played Blood Angels.
That's true. Maybe I've not had the experience.
So maybe the lack of experience from my end doesn't highlight anything.
Yeah, maybe it's probably a bit of that. Banning.
I don't know them enough. Yeah.
Good shout, banning super magic swords. That was tricky actually. I've been asked a couple of times about Psi Arcana or relics or adding in Murnival stuff, and again, I kind of delayed on the basis that I was expecting the new box to be out. I just don't. I don't want to sort of like, I've seen there's a few things coming up that's very like, I've seen a few people coming up with their own relics, and I don't know. It's not something that I've really wanted to get too far down that rabbit hole, because it's cool and it's fun, and this is a narrative event. So even if I don't know, if I invented you can use a ray gun that shoots the length of the board and it's strength 10, like it still should be taken in that sort of narrative style. But I struggle a wee bit when it starts to get, there's like a perfect heresy game, Sphere, and then some of these things sit close to the sphere but maybe not in them. I don't know, maybe I'm being a bit biased. What do you think, Richard?
Nah. No, I don't think so.
All right, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they might, it depends on if the new box and new rules are out by the next event. I can obviously look at it again, but I don't know what we'll need to see what what Games Workshop do and whether they bring it out on time. Anyway, poor Bing Bong has been waiting for this. Been waiting for me to. He's expecting a slagging. So in the chat, if you want to slag him off, that's up to you. But I won't be. So we've got Amigos Calibdecima with the Macro Carrot Explorator tank. It's fine. He's got his Myrmidons. He's mixed the weapons with keeping Graviton for one of them. Phase plasma fusils have been the bane of.
I'm not playing this list.
Just
I
because
can't
of that.
go through that. I can't go through those Myrmidons again. I can't go through that situation.
PTSD of playing. I won't say his name. That's just not fair. Playing up here.
Yeah.
We eventually dealt with that problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's. That's. We'll say no more about Myrmidon Executors.
Yeah.
So he's gone for a bit more troop heavy than Chris's list. So he's got, well, not troop heavy, he's got scoring units heavy, and making the most out of the different weapons that they can take in the Thalax squads. Now the Ferox makes sense why you know what that means, James, because you've got squads yourself who have got the heavy chain blades. So yeah, Thalax are great. Like, for all, I saw a thread on Crusade and Heresy this week that was like, what's the best unit in the game? And Grace Slayers were mentioned a lot because of their versatility, but I don't know, being able to move in the assault phase and being big, tough, multi-wound robots, I think Thalax are one of the best units in the game.
Well, no. What? To be fair, what the thing was is the best unique unit.
Right, okay. I thought it was the best unit.
Best unique unit. Obviously, I was on there as an Alpha Legion player, scoping.
You've been taking notes.
But but you're right. The Thalax being able to do that jump pack or jetpack. Is it jetpack? Yeah, jetpack move. That's really powerful. That's good.
Yes, I think like that'll be quite handy in late game, because it's the sort of like, how many times have you got to the end, the last turn of the game, and you can't get where you need to be, and like if you're at the top of the round and you're expecting to be charged, and you can just use your assault move to be like, nah, see you later, and move away.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
That's it as well. Like popping out, shooting something, hiding again. Things like that. Fantastic.
Or moving on to an objective or something like that gives you extra movement. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good. Another Avenger Strike. Where the hell are all these Avenger Strike fighters being sat during the Heresy? There's one hangar that's got all these, like, one Forge World's churning them out, and finally they've made their way to the Alban sector for people to fight with. So another one of them will be cool to see. Ursaraks are pretty good. Only a 3-man squad though, James. I think you might struggle with them to get where they need to be. And then the bad boys, the Krioses, always thought they're pretty good.
Yeah, very good.
Number of shots they can put out, and pretty reliable, pretty like survivable as well as a tank, because I think they have flare shields by default. So
is it 4 shots per tank?
I think so. I think it is.
Yeah.
But he's only got, that's the Venator one. I can't remember. One of them does and one of them doesn't. He can correct us. And then the Myrmidon long range guys with the photon thrusters as well. And then a Lancer, which would be pretty cool. So there's a sort of if you sort of compare this to Chrissy's list, there's a named character, there's some flying shit, there's a big sort of like tough squad of like, so where there's lacking in Castellax, there's Myrmidons to sort of make up the toughness number. There's some tanks there, and then we've got a night off. I can't remember where these sat together, but if it is possible to get them to play a game, you might find a night off might be quite an enjoyable sort of experience there. Well, I think Ping Pong just said his internet had to die, so maybe he's not going to get to hear what we've just said. You'll have to watch it back. But yeah, I think that's could be quite interesting to see, like, because the big multi-gun knight doesn't really have any D close combat weapon, whereas if the Lancer charged it, could be curtains before it even gets to shoot.
Yeah, it's very. The 2 knights couldn't be more different, could they?
Yeah, so it's quite. I think that's the beauty of the mech, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd love to see them 2 face off next weekend and see how that goes.
So that's quite a. I think those lists are almost like you could draw like a narrative. Like they went one way and we went another. Like that's quite that could be quite a cool conflict. So we'll see. I can't remember. The pairings aren't 100% finalised yet, but make it happen. I'll do my best. Then we've got Pete with his white scars. So another Quinza with Terminators as his backup. He's named these characters as well, actually. So we'll use his name. I'll probably butcher them. He'll be unhappy. Revul, Arvida, the Warmonger. There's 2 Warmongers in this list, in fact. Warmongers again, they must be a great addition in Book 8. They've kind of like fill a few gaps. And then Namahai, another Warmonger. I've never seen 2 in a list before either, but that's pretty cool. So he's got 10 tactical Marines in the Rhino. He did say he sent me a list and then changed his mind. And the original list was quite like stereotypical for the white scars, and then he said, "Nah, I'm not going to do that." And he went back and sent in another one. He's got his like Terminators and Quinza and stuff like that, and the veterans. There's still jet bikes in there, but it was a lot less than he had before. He's gone quite sort of like tried to put more infantry in, I think. So Sky Seekers, that's your troop one, isn't it? Those
Yeah, that's the troop ones, yeah.
Because he's got the heavy rotor cannons. Golden Keshig, I mean, they're pretty good. I'd be surprised if you don't end up stealing them for your bloody Alpha Legion one day. Then he's got his normal ones, the normal squad with a multi-melt in there. 2 Sabres, which haven't popped up that often since we sort of said people are going to be running these.
I take it they must just have the autocannons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Javelins, 1 Vindicator with a laser destroyer array, a Proteus, and then another Venator. And there's not really, like, he's kind of has done what he was set out to do. He's not put in. So if you take out the Golden Keshig, there's not a lot of sort of this is definitely White Scars. So it's going to be interesting to see how he gets on with his, because the White Scars obviously have like Skilled Rider, which helps them a lot. So it'll be interesting how that gets on, because I don't see there's a lot of walking units there, because the Terminators and the Veterans don't have a ride. He's presumably going to use the Warmonger for them.
Yeah.
So I don't know, that'd be interesting to
Must
see.
be.
The Proteus has the Augury Web, so he's probably worried about not getting them in. He needs to boost them.
Where's King Zat? Quinn.
Who?
I'm not even going to pronounce it.
He's the
What's
one.
his name? Quinn.
Yeah.
King
that
Zat.
guy. Yeah, that guy.
Where's he? How's he getting
in?
Where's he going in?
Yeah, that's a good point. Actually, I don't think he can deep strike by default. What's his face? Finn. Do the veterans ride in the Land Raider? Maybe he's doing. Maybe he's in the. You can't. I thought when you put the Explorator, you lose spaces, don't you?
You do.
So it must be that. It must be the vets are in there. That would make sense. Do the walking guys get some? Yeah, I don't think they do, Chris. I don't think they get anything fancy. I don't think they get like, because Space Wolves get +1 to run and stuff like that, but I don't think the White Scars get anything particularly fancy. Yes, it's interesting. Like it's interesting that it's like there'll be something in there that I've just not, because he's quite good at the game. Like well, maybe I'm just really shit at the game, but Pete absolutely horsed me at Edge Empire when I had my World Eaters, and it was just so easy for him to like maneuver around me, and I could never get the charge. But that was a very jet bike heavy list, so it'll be interesting to see how he gets on with that. I guess there is still quite a lot of jet bikes in it. Anyway, we'll need to see.
It'd be interesting.
Need to ask him about it what his sort of concept behind it is. Right, Barton, you still here? Because I've got something you need to look at when I went through this list. Yeah, I agree, Chris. They sort of avoid that. Yeah, Barton's still here. So, and this is one of these formats. It's not your fault. It's Battlescribe's fault. He's got a Legion Champion as his headquarters. Now, I've highlighted your Power Sword because I wasn't sure if you meant to put the Paragon Blade that a Legion Champion can now take. You don't have to, but given he can take one, most people seem to these days. And you seem to be trying to burn points at some point, so a Paragon Blade jet bike champion would be pretty good. But that's up to you. I won't. If you want to change it and send me another list, then like everyone else is getting a chance.
No, he says keep his Power Sword.
Okay, fair enough. So you've got that. Then you've got your Traitor, who's also on there. These are the funniest Emperor's Children I've ever seen. I don't know what happened to your list, but somehow you became White Scars. So, yeah, I think these two together are going to do like the toughness 5, the movement, the death dealing. This guy in particular with these digital lasers, his Cyberhawk, the Iron Halo, Mastercraft, a weapon, and all that stuff. He should do pretty well. So he'll do all right. You've got the Golden Keshig as well. Given a Thunderhammer on the champion, which should do pretty well for leathering some tanks and things like that no one's expecting. Veteran Tactical Squad in a Rhino. Veteran Tactical Squad in another Rhino. You've got your jetbike squad. You've got another jetbike squad. You've got an outrider squad. This is more that sort of stereotypical White Scar list, I think, where everything's fast and everything's nipping about. The Kaizagan Assault Speeder ×3, which are pretty interesting things as well. I quite like those models. Almost wish that's what the Javelin was rather than the one we've got, because I think they kind of just look a bit like more complete almost. Xiphon, again, Xiphon ticks ahead of the Lightnings.
The flyer list, yeah.
Sicaran, normal Sicaran, Velascanon, Sponsons. So
Cool.
this is what you kind of, if someone said, imagine a White Scars list, it'd be very similar. You've got the Rhino guys, you've got your Jetbike guys. That's kind of what I'd imagine the stereotypical White Scars to be. So I think this list will do all right.
What's on the veteran tactic?
Stalkers? Stalkers ×2?
Scout.
Okay, that's even better then.
That's good.
Yeah, shrewd. He's a shrewd man, is Alex Barton. Let's see. Only played bike, hit and run. Keep it as a power sword. I've not actually looked at the difference. I like bikes. Yeah, you might be able to just shave off. Yeah, I think you could find a way of shaving those points off. So Paragon Blade is a better weapon. But we can talk about it offline. Just send me a message, Barton. Like, it's a wee bit. I think you'll find you might end up having to pick your target more with the champion if you leave it as it is. Whereas if you put the Paragon Blade in, then you fear nothing. So
yeah,
you might find that might be even if you dropped something simple, that you might find you just be able to shave some points off to get it. But we'll talk about it after. That's not fair to put you on the spot and be like asking you things like that if you're not sure on the difference. Because you're like, if you don't know, Barton hasn't played that many Heresy games, so not want to sort of like rewrite your list live on air. So we can leave it at that. But it's a pretty good list. I think you'll do all right. I think that could be quite a fun. Like, I would hate it because my World Eaters couldn't pin you down, but some people might have the solution of like just plasmaing you to bits and forcing you to jink and all that. So yeah, we'll see how that gets on next week. This one, Jack, it's Imperial Fists, but you won't be able to tell because he's running the Armored Breakthrough Rite of War. So it starts with a Sicaran, and then he's got the Predators, like Predator, 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 Predator,
Yep.
Predator, Predator. They're individual Predators that he's running as his troops choices. Then he has got Legion Cataphractic Terminators, so there is some bodies in here, but they're inside a Land Raider, which they have to be. Then he's got 6 Javelins in 2 squads, which is pretty hefty on the points and pretty hefty on the money.
Yeah, fat.
That must be like something about like 300 quid to Javelins, at least. Then he's got an Arcus, 3 Vindicators with laser destroyer array, and then another 3 Predator tanks with the plasma turrets. These are savage. They're brutal. They're like in terms of the turret, that's the best turret.
Aye, absolutely.
So what he's lacking, like, so the Predator troops choices with the 4-shot autocannon, the last cannon sponsons help a little bit, but he almost needs those because if someone has a lot of like Terminators, I don't see how he's going to kill them quick enough. Because
it's interesting you say that actually.
Because like, where's the AP2? So he's got las cannon sponsons, 1, 2, 3, 4. His Cataphracti have got some. The Phobos has some. Then you're getting onto like relying on Javelins and stuff like that. Like, it's not. If you had a lot of Terminators on foot, you might do really well against this list. So you need
that Arcus on those plasma Predators will pump out that AP2.
Yeah, so that's what he's relying on. Though. Like, really needs those two. So I'm not like you laughed. I'm not ripping the piss at him for putting them in. I just think he's going to be very reliant on them to do what he needs it to do.
Oh no, I'm laughing because it's hilarious because they're so good.
And if they die, if they died early, then he could be in a bit of baller before the game really gets going.
It's interesting going through, because I was thinking about running this list a long time ago, right? And when I was doing my troops and taking those predators, I pretty much just took them bare stock, rather than spending points putting, sponsons on them and that, because they are going to get shot and they are going to blow.
I think
It's just curious why he's put like heavy bolter sponsons on them and last cannon sponsons. He could probably save them and just buy more predators.
That's true. And Chris is saying it's a lot of hull points to deal with for most armies, and you just want to make Terminators roll loads of saves, which is, I think that's kind of true. Like when you're playing, forget this list. If you're playing someone who has a lot of Terminators, and you can force them to make 10 saves per shooting attack, they are going to fail the one. Like it's not going to be invariably. It'll be like they'll fail 5 out of 10. This always happens. So yeah, I think it'll be interesting. There isn't special rules for the heavy bolters because it only applies to infantry. So he doesn't get the +1 to hit with anything except the cataphracti. The 5 cataphracti are the only thing that are really going to benefit. But I quite like. There's something about armored breakthrough that's just cool. Like the fact it's possible awesome. Is cool. Yeah. I quite like it. When I look at my Solar Auxilia, I wish they had that. That was a proper way of doing it. It kind of makes me sad they don't have it as a legitimate way.
Yeah, like the old tank lists.
Yeah, because that's very fitting for a guard, like normal human relying on lots of tanks. But maybe they'll get it in the next book. So I quite like this list. I think that could be quite an interesting one. Not sure whether to sort of, is it really, really good or is it not? Like it's hard to kind of scale this.
I'd love to play this list.
So
I think it'd be really fun.
I think he's done quite well with his selection. I think it'll be interesting seeing when he gets it out. I probably have no room to deploy any of this shit though, because he's got like 14 tanks or something like that. He'll have to put some in reserves because there'll be no room. Anyway, quite like that list. So Nathan,
that's cool.
Nathan with Salamanders again. So after me saying we don't see many, I've got another one. So he's got Cassian Dracos in the Dreadnought Drop Pod, Praetor and Cataphracti, Fire Drakes again, of course. Tactical Squad and a Drop Pod, Tactical Squad and a Drop Pod, Tactical Flamer Squad and a Drop Pod, Tactical Flamer Squad and a Drop Pod, Deathstorm, Termite, Fire Raptor, so 2 Fire Raptors, and then the Charybdis Assault Claw. So Orbital Assault, Salamanders, which kind of suits them, I think. Like if you're going to be the again sort of a scorched earth army, being able to just jump in and leather people because presumably the Fire Drakes are going in the Charybdis, and then everything else is in a drop pod on its own. Like I think this could be quite cool. I think this, like when it arrives, if it all comes off at the same time and the Fire Raptors arrive on turn 2, etc., this will be quite a tasty list for just like causing mischief. So I think I'll quite like to see this. This will be one that would be just watching turn 1. His turn 1 will be quite fun, I think, because he's got a lot of units that are going to arrive, a lot of decisions to make. I'll actually see who's in the Termite. Are the Fire Drakes in the Termite?
No, you can't put Fire Drakes in them. Can't put Terminator armor in them.
I wonder if he's made a miscalculation with his list. I don't see who's in the Termite, because he's got drop pod.
Vincent Flamers.
The tactical squad, Flamers. It says drop pod there. There's one there as well.
No, hold on. Oh no, yeah.
Yeah, both of them say drop pod. Maybe there's an issue with Battlescribe where if you don't, it gives you an error because it says there, check deep strike only restriction manually or something like that. So I need to find that out. Because it would make sense for the Charybdis to have the Terminators in it. Anyway, that's one for me to write down and sort out. I think that's a lot of drop pods. A decoy drop pod.
It's cool as well, like that. Smart is putting a drill, because that drill doesn't count towards your drop pod allowance either.
Yeah, so you can bring that in auto turn 1. That's a strange one. Need to ask him about it and see. Unless maybe I've deleted a squad by mistake or something. Doesn't look, because that big box, I wouldn't have thought so, but because he's paid for that, surely, if it's there. I wondered maybe Dracos needs, and he hasn't. Anyway, whatever.
He's got a Dreadnought drop pod.
Yeah, I'll ask him about that anyway and see, because I don't want someone to turn up and be like, right, empty thing coming out. So then we've got Barry, Mr. Green Stuff himself, using Welsh's Iron Warriors as a loyalist. So he's got a chaplain, he's got Curvalin, who is pretty badass. He's got the Contemptor, two of them as a Talon. Destroyer squad, only 5 guys though, but with jump packs.
Jump packs, yeah.
Terminator squad.
Yeah.
He's got a 215-man, sorry, 215-man and a 10-man, no, 20-man tactical squad. So a lot of tactical marines in this
Loads
one.
of bodies.
Plasma gun, tactical sports squad, only 5 of them. Deredio, Leviathan also does not have a pod, and then rounding it up with a Spartan, which you're probably going to want to put one of these big blobs in, maybe the Terminators, and leg it across the battlefield. But another chaplain. It's like nearly, I think like 1 in every 3 armies has a chaplain at least.
Yeah.
So this list is kind of, it's
that Spartan's like, you've got a Spartan, and what are you putting in it? 6 Terminators.
It must be the Terminators. But I'd be interested. I think the bodies are really good again. Like obviously, if you're playing like the Typhon with Typhon list, this list could do pretty badly. But I think it could do all right with the number of bodies. All you need to do, because you don't take the morale check. So if someone Typhons you and takes out 10 guys, you're just like whatever.
Yeah.
So it's that sort of list. This could do quite well on just sitting on an objective, because it's not going to run away.
Yeah.
The Spartans for intimidation factor.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see who's going in that Spartan, because it seems a bit of a big point sink for
but it's not a
6
lot
guys.
of anti-tank in the list, so maybe it's to do with that. Is it okay to be secretly happy that Baz isn't bringing his Talons?
Chris, I'm with you.
Surely you'd be blinded by the beauty of them. The light would reflect off the gold and blind you. You wouldn't be able to roll any dice. But I think there's something in this list that, again, like it's easy to look at it and be like, there's only 5 destroyers or whatever, but I just think the amount of bodies could do well with the Iron Warriors, no morale. That's such a game changer where, like, you can weather any shot as long as you've got like a guy left, you're scoring. So it'll be really hard to get rid of them. So that's pretty good. Oh well, here we go. So he's been waiting all this time, like an excited puppy. Is he still here? Oh, he might have bogged off now. So he's got Stephen Boner, White Scars here. He's a strange boy with this list. Wait till I'll do it again. Slowly scroll down, and you can enjoy it. So he's got his Traitor, who only has a power sword because he can't. He originally was a Delegatus, but he couldn't do the Rite of War he wants to do because he forgot that Delegatus can only do the one. So he had to change him for a very bare. Notice no invulnerable save on this poor Praetor. And you'll see why soon enough. So we've got our 10 vets with melta guns inside a Rhino. We've got our 10 vets with melta guns inside a Rhino. 10 vets with melta guns inside a Rhino. 10 vets inside a Rhino with melta. 40 veterans in Rhinos. Which is
that's a lot.
Obscene to have. No wonder you've been painting Rhinos all week. 40, and the melta guns will be pretty handy. And you've paid for your dozer blades, which is good because you've been painting them. So that's pretty good. You haven't said what your veteran tactic is, I don't think. Do you have to say on your list, or do you pick it at the start of the game?
No, I'm pretty sure you pick it on your list.
Okay, so you'll need to send me those, Stephen. Presumably with melter guns, it's quite an obvious one you're going to pick, but we'll get that off you. You can send me it in the next couple of days. Then we get onto the troops, where things start to get even more interesting. Reconnaissance squad, 10 Marines, sniper rifles, Camellia line. Reconnaissance squad, 8 of them in a rhino, shotguns. Reconnaissance squad, 10 with sniper rifles, Camellia line. Reconnaissance squads, reconnaissance squads, reconnaissance squad. He's just gone for all reconnaissance squads for his troops, with like various permutations of the weapons. Bolter, sniper rifle, shotgun, sniper rifle. So, to the surprise of no one, he's running the recon company one.
Sorry, I was just I was wrong about the veteran tactics. It says before the game begins, you choose.
Okay,
So you don't need it in your list.
Don't necessarily. He's wanting scout anyway, he said in the chat.
Yeah.
So this is bonkers in a good way. Amount of recon there. Barely ever see recon marines at all, and here's someone bringing like 60 of them nearly. Then he's got his javelin, and then a Sicaran. 2 Sicarans individually. Is it? Or three, sorry. 3 Sicarans with a normal autocannon. So I think this list kind of like what it lacks in like AP2, AP1. It's kind of making up for in just bulk. It's
you've got a lot to just get through.
How are you going to kill? How are you going to stop? Because veterans are scoring, aren't they?
Yeah.
So how are you going to stop like 100 whatever that is, 60, 70, 80, 100 Marines? Half of them you can barely shoot because they're hidden so well. That's bonkers, but in a brilliant way. Yeah.
What were you on about his he took a Delegatus?
I thought a Delegatus could only take the one Rite of War, the one that makes you veterans troops.
No.
Is that in an
they
FAQ?
They can take any Rite of War.
Hold on. I might be changing that back for you then, Stephen. I've got it here.
They may take it. They can take it.
Command. May take. Alright, okay, sorry, Stephen, that's my fault for. I can put that back. I think I've still got your original email. Yeah. Master Legion Special Rule and may take Legion. Must always be the Army's Warlord. The following Rite of War can be used by Legion Delegatus. Nice, that's cool. We can change that back if you want it to be a Delegatus. Which will mean you've got better options on them rather than the Praetor. So that's pretty good.
You're getting me worried there because I was thinking if I ran a Delegatus wrong for years.
Maybe. Let me just check. Aye, so Purple Praetors, no more Bing Bong. That's getting changed. I'm just watching some of these comments. There's like a beautiful army, but they did the bad thing to me and made me cry. Purple Praetor, Stephen is the unquestionably the master of doing only gigantic number of models. Madman. You are right, Stephen. You can have that Delegatus. That was me. WWF are going to take rhinos off the endangered list if they get hold of this information. Where's the Death Star? There isn't a Death Star here. This is like the anti-Death Star. What do I kill first? I don't know. Would be the perfect way of putting this. We need to see this pop up against some insane blast heavy list. Not a Typhon though, because that's the one. That's like his like the kryptonite of this list is someone just Typhoning these squads as they're hiding in the cover. Where does the Praetor go? Where's the Delegatus going to go? We'll change it to. Praetor goes with the shotgun scouts and the rhino. There we go. Yeah, I'll try and sort that out. I can change that quick enough. I just need to find the old list. But take it now. You can do it. It's me that had read the rule wrong. So this is going to be bananas. This is class. It's going to be really funny to see what goes on. But we'll see when we get to that one. So we're about 3/4 through, so we'll try and power through, because I know we've been going for a while, and people might want to see the missions in advance so they can cry. We'll see if we get to that. I might not share it if we're running out of time and we're running on. So we've got a militia of Alpha Legion allies. Scott would be better suited on the traitor side because it is a traitor list that he's written, and there's a chance someone. So the person that's dropped out with COVID was a traitor. The person that is interested is a Raven Guard player, so there might be a chance to do a sort of swap around and sort that. But I'll wait. I've closed all my stuff down so that it's not beeping all the way through this. So I'll wait and see if I've had a response. So Force Commander, Platoon Commander, he's gone for what you'd expect with a sort of like a big heavy missile launcher squad, Grenadiers, Grenadiers, gone for just 10. He's not doing the Lewis special. He's going for the smaller side, sensibly. The heavy ordnance batteries as well, they're pretty good. Only one of each though. But he's put the extra crew on.
Reacher shells on.
Yep. And he's got the Macarius Omega, another thing I've never seen. So that's going to be interesting seeing that cutting about. Then he's chucked in his Alpha Legion allies. So he's got an assault squad. He's got the Praetor, Lernians with they're standard, aren't they, if they've got Axe and Volkite Charger?
Yeah.
But he's chucked on 2 conversion beamers, which will be pretty good. Fast attack of Seeker Squad, which it's only got a small number of them, but they'll do alright, I think.
Yeah.
Because they'll be able to do the sort of special ammo and do a bit of being annoying while the poor Grenadiers are getting shot to bits. And he's got his Land Raider, and all of it can infiltrate, which will be pretty good. Especially the assault squad, getting it where you want it to go, sort of thing. So that's pretty good.
Yeah,
I think that
that's
combo. Don't see many allies. Don't see many allies at events.
Yeah.
It's interesting that that'll be there. So he'll do alright with that. Hold on, just check no one's saying anything. An Omega, yeah, be interesting. Like the Omega and the Stormblade have a shoot off. See how they get on. Then we've got Jack.
What's the Omega got? Is that Blast?
Yeah, I think it is just it's like a smaller chassis of the Stormblade, I think.
Right.
We've got Jack, his Iron Hands. This list's really interesting when you get through. It's a shame Gary isn't here to back up his Iron Hands friend. So we've got Otek Moore, who's a bit of a monster himself. A Gorgon squad inside the Spartan with all the usual. Medusan Immortals, 10, 20, 30 inside Land Raiders with Volkite Chargers. So he's gone full on Land Raider heavy in this list. It's going to be pretty savage. But that's it, with the Fellblade backing it up. So it's not a lot.
Oh,
yeah.
Jeez.
So think of the point. He spent 690 points on his Gorgon 7-man squad with a Spartan. And each of his Medusan Immortals is nearly 500 points just because they're in a Land Raider. So he's not got a lot. Presumably, Otek Moore's going with the Gorgons inside the Spartan. So there's not going to be a lot of models on the board until things start getting blown up and like popped open. And then the Fellblade obviously eats up a lot of points as well. So that's quite a tough list.
I think, see, for me, Land Raiders are quintessential 40k, 30k. You know, when you see them, you know what it is. Do you know what I mean? And that's going to be a really cool army to look at on the table.
Chris has said a bit, I like him because of the Land Raiders, and he's really handsome. I think it will look. I think you're right. Like I've ran the Land Raider one. It's like Armored Strike Force or something like that. It's got a weird name. It's pretty. Like it is good. Like it's reliable. I think that's what you kind of need in a game based on luck, is reliable stuff.
Yeah.
And even if you get blown up, if you've got an assault unit inside, well, you're coming out and charging whatever got you probably. So it's quite a like I think he'll do quite. This is a good list. I think it's very thematic for that sort of like. Well, it's Company of Bitter Iron. I didn't know that meant you could take Land Raiders, but like that sort of idea of the Iron Hands of arrived on the planet, they've been shafted, they're bitter as bits, and they're driving about in their Land Raiders they're keeping running. Like, all that stuff's quite cool to me. That speaks my language, this list, I think.
Yep, I agree.
And at
That's
least
cool.
if he can get where he wants to go, then he'll be able to sit inside his Land Raider safe and sound. So that list will do quite well. Then we're on to James, who's here, who's already panicking as if we've not slagged anyone off. So don't worry about us like saying it's going to be you. Only deploying 5 models is the inverse of Stephen. Yeah, if we could have put them on opposite sides, they could have had a game. So we've got another mech list now. So we've got James. He's got his Dominus. Spent quite a lot of points in HQs. Dominus with sort of a mix of. I quite like the Augury Scanner. I think if you can get that on a mech unit, it's quite good, quite handy. The Magos Prime's a big unit. His phase plasma fusel and a lot of this stuff kind of passes me by, but Jin's skin I've got a feeling that's pretty good. And you need those Cortex controllers.
I don't know, I just see phase plasma fusel and going to meltdown.
Then he's got his Sekitari, so he's got an Augury Scanner on him. So he's backing up the squad that he's eventually
I know where this is going now.
Domitar. So 3 Domitars. They are 1 squad by the look of it. It's just my formatting that's not put them as 1 squad, but that'll be a tasty unit cutting about.
Yeah.
They'll do really well if no one can sort of pick them off before they get where they need to go. Tech Priest Auxilia, very, very underrated squad, I think. I tend to put the grenade launchers on my Solar Auxilia ones, but you've gone for close combat weapons. They're kind of like an annoying unit if you don't deal with them. So I think they'll do quite well.
Okay.
Then he's got his Ad Secularis Covenant. So 20 tech thralls. If it wasn't like I've not ever had my mech army out, and I did manage to get some tech thralls for quite cheap. If they weren't for like 40 odd quid for 10, I think everyone would run them. Like there's going to be a lot of third party ones because they're so cheap. Like, why wouldn't you have 60 point scoring unit that you can make fearless?
Yeah.
Like, there's no brainer to that. So he's got some Castellaxes with Darkfires. He's got the Secretary Peltasts. 21 spot them. Okay, wait a minute, he's in the chat. You're being horrible, sighing away. I'll get to the comments after we go through it. So you got his Thalax, 9 in a squad, which I've never ever seen anyone run a squad as big as this. The Triaris Armoured Conveyor, more Krios tanks, which is good. Thanatar, as you'd expect. I'm assuming that's 1 and it's just the formatting because that looks like 2, but when you add up the points, that's got to just be 1, and that must just be.
Yeah, I think
2.
that.
That's 2.
Yeah, I think it's 1.
And that's the squad above. Yeah, it must be that.
Yeah.
So he's not got the Titan Guard. Do not have a Titan to guard, which has probably made you more at ease, Richard. But the
Titan Guard should be guiding Titans.
The Krios Venators and the Thanatar are pretty tasty for destroying. Like, that will get the big blobs, and they'll get the tanks.
Yeah.
That Thalax unit's just amazing for just nipping about. That'll be really fun seeing that on the board. And melta bombs obviously don't want to ruin it. Melta bombs will make them pretty risky to not shoot lots and lots of guns at.
Yeah.
And then these big blobs, like, you forget how cheap the Peltasts are. 290 points for 20 guys is pretty cheap.
Yeah.
So
they're good as well.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
They're great.
So this is a pretty good list, I think, in terms of the sort of the balance of, you've got the big Castellax blob, the big Domitar blobs. Well, blobs is a bit of a stretch when it's like 3 guys, but these big units will do pretty well. He's got the Cortex controllers to back them up as well, so they don't just run off and do their own bad thing.
When I seen seen the Oxyarch, I thought there was going to be 10. What's the other one's called? Haywire in a drill. What are they called?
Yeah. He's avoided that.
He's good. He gets a star from me for avoiding that. If you're taking Titan, in my opinion is if you're taking Titan Guard, you need a Titan, not a drill.
So there's people that know more about mech than me. So 90-point Dominus tax to run the Cybernetica, but takes a crazy maxed out Myrminax Lord. No right to pure thought. 9 Thalax, I like this guy. Yeah, just 1 Thanatar's confirmed.
Yeah.
No Vulture. You've not got much anti-air actually in this list. But I agree, Chris, it's pretty cool seeing the different, like it's, if you take something like the Solar Auxilia, there will be very similar lists. Because most people are going to run the Drakazans or the Oroxes, and there's not enough depth to make them particularly different. And cults and mech, I think, have got a bit more depth to be like a bit crazier on your sort of combos and stuff. And I think this really shows when you've got the 3 different, like you go from Chris has got very few models but very big models, through to something like this which has got quite a lot of models. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think that could very different. Be interesting to see how they all get on by the end of the weekend. So that's pretty cool.
I think mech are quite forgiving, I find, personally. So I think both sides of the list are going to be great.
So I think you don't have to worry about your it's your first ever event and you've read nothing.
Yeah.
Well, that makes 2 of us at least, because I've not written enough yet. But that's going to be quite a cool, I think, seeing these how the armies fare. Looking forward to that. So that's going to be pretty smart. Then we've got Gary, who's not even here, who's a thorn in your side. So he has his Iron Hands, he's got his Warmonger, which he's grown very attached to lately because he seems to be using it to great effect to bam us up. The Traitor, never really had much. His Traitor, this is bringing back painful memories. Actually, I wish I hadn't done this tonight.
Oh, can we just block out his
Just
list,
ban him,
please?
I charged. This is my fault. I charged 3 assault bikes into a big tactical squad, and his Praetor was in it. And his Praetor just stepped to the front and killed all my bikes with a paragon blade. Didn't even get to hit. So I don't like that guy. So he's got his big blobs though. Like that's the one thing about Gary's list I quite like, is he does tend to run big blobs of guys because he knows he can rely on the -1 strength Iron Hand benefit. He's got them,
and he's absurdly good at rolling a 5+.
Yeah, I think he's got loaded dice.
Feel no pain.
So he's got his plasma guns, 20 Medusan Immortals, 20 Medusan Immortals with melta guns galore. I think that one has melta guns. 10 Gorgons. Not really that bothered about the Gorgons. I've never been that scared of them.
Nah,
it's not like they're all right. They're not the worst. It's 2 Apothecaries. The Graviton again. I didn't think they were that good, but for some reason I just can't seem to shift these bloody units. But yeah, he's got his rapiers.
It's the -1 strength when you're shooting those things.
Yeah. He's a pain in the arse. He's got another Venator for the Venator party, the Arcus, which is his only anti-air source. I think when you look at this, if you hadn't played it, you'd sort of look at this and be like, he's going to struggle to do anti-tank, or he's going to struggle to do like anti-terminators and stuff. But just bloody resilient. Like it's a really resilient army. Does not have much tank. Does not have it's a foot army. Doesn't have any. He just puts them down and just walks forward. No mercy.
It seems to work, doesn't it?
Yeah, like the only way to beat him is to get into close combat, and because he's got like enough guys, he can. If you charge one Medusan Immortal squad, you don't get the benefit to charging because of the shields, and then he just sort of envelops you in guys. But it's a pretty good, like it is a good list. Really, really like. I think people will enjoy playing it because of the sort of. There's nothing in it that's sort of like you'll be annoyed that you won't get your bonus to charge, or you won't get like you'll pass all these bloody feel no pains or whatever. But there's nothing in it that's really offensive. Like there's not a he doesn't have a Typhon that he's sitting at the back of the board laughing at you as you can't hurt him. Like, he is coming for you because he's controlling the bitter boys, and it is quite fun to play. Like, as much as I've had a bit of a doing off him, it is quite it's pretty good. I think, like, again, going back to what I said about the Salamanders list, if you're going to play an Istvan 5 campaign, this is the sort of list you want people to bring, I think. It is quite fun seeing just bodies galore. But I think Iron Hands have that. Iron Hands and Iron Warriors have that uniqueness that lets you do it because of their rules.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he happens to have both, the bastard. But this list's pretty good. I quite like it. And he'd be here to laugh about it if he wasn't out for the night. And then the last list, you'll be relieved to hear because we've been going for 3.5 hours nearly?
Yeah, 3.5 hours. Yeah.
Is James Wright. He's Talons of the Emperor, the only custodian player, and he's got the big boy. I don't know what's happened with custodians. They were all the rage, and then they've just dropped off.
Because I sent an angry letter to everyone and told them not to bring them.
Bing Bong saying Talons, oh no, get them in the bin. He's on your side. So obviously Valdor, who's had these little tweak. He's still pretty good, but he's not as good as he was. The 5 guys with the Pyrothite, the 5 guys with Adricite. I think that's kind of my core. I've got Talons, and I think I would always have those 2 squads because I just think they are pretty good. Like, the guns are pretty good on them, and they're reliable. Yeah, he's got Sentinel.
Which one's the? Is one of them like D or something?
One's Melta, and one is the instant death thing.
That's it, not D. Instant death.
So this is like potentially, I can't remember which one it is. I think it's that one's the instant death.
Aye.
One of them is Chrissy's like Antichrist.
Yeah.
You'll be like hoping. Actually, I don't know if I'll need to check my parents. Need to watch out. That could be one of the games. It could be a bit of a. You need to kill that unit at all costs if you're facing them, Chris. Then he's putting the Terminators. I think these, like, look at the point. 6 guys. I know they've got 3 wins each. I think that's a bit of a point sink for me. I don't think they're worth it. Because you've already got the 2 up, 5 up. So a 2 up, 4 up's not worth an extra, like, 200 points. But they look cool. I think that's the key there. I've not seen the Venatari in action. So that will be quite interesting to see them.
That's the jump boys, isn't it?
Yeah.
And
then of course you've got the jet bikes with the big las cannon delights, and then the Telemon as well. Like, I think there's some good heavy hitters in this, but he's not exactly blessed with numbers and models. Like, so there's 5, 10, 15, 16, 22, 28, 32 models is not a lot of models in a 3,000 point list. And all it takes is someone like Lewis's 20-man death blob, and you could just like really slow them down. Oh, you've killed my 80-point unit over 2 turns. What did he do? Like, it's that sort of thing. Like, you just don't. It's a gamble. This is quite a risky list, I think. Like, it'll either stomp folk or it'll just really under-deliver what he wants it to do. But it depends how he is as a player. If he's a good player, then he might get it. Chris is good list. I think you're fine. Doesn't need lots of models. Talons are so good against mech. Yeah, I think it is like if they charge, then it's sort of like if they get the charge on you, I could see this being like, curtains for us. But if you can slow them down or like find a way of shielding units, I think it can be quite good. Like way of slowing them and fucking them over. I think that we'll see. I think this one could be. Depends how James is as a player. Is he like? Because I've seen some Custodes players be really aggressive, and it's like they lose because they just don't sort of. You got to take it slow and steady almost with Custodes. I think like you don't want to just throw them into the first unit in charge range because like you just pull yourself out of position. So that is going to be very interesting. Talons for the bin. I'd struggle against this. There's lots of. He is a good player. Oh, well, she's turned up to say he's a good player. Were you even here for the bit? We talked about your bit already, so you've come very late. Fingers and toes crossed. So we have got time to go through the missions if you guys want. I know we have dragged on. I have nothing better to do. You've got your warning now that if you want to leave before we go through it, so it's a complete surprise, then you can do so. But I wanted to reward people who are willing to sit through me talking over Richard and not letting him get his 2p in. But sorry, Richard, I have spoken over you a lot. And see whether people want to see it. So we'll keep you up like screaming kids, as Bing Bong's view. This is if you see.
It won't take long, will it?
No, but
Let's be honest.
if you hear this, I'm gonna trust you not. Like if I get 10 emails tomorrow with list changes, I'm gonna tell you no on the basis that I think you'll all have changed your lists to suit the missions. And the reason I'm telling you the missions in advance is because originally what I'd intended to do was to just put up this document and not print them out. Well, thank you very much, Chris. That's good. You're saving yourself. Keep a surprise. And thanks for tuning in for that length of time. Yeah, I don't want to do it like COVID safe means for me. What I'm doing tomorrow, I'm printing every single mission off for every single person, putting them in envelopes. I'm going to put them to the side in a box for the week, so that you know that like they're as virus free as they can be. That's the sort of like safety net we're trying to do. So there's not going to be the same way where I print them all out and put them in a stack of paper and hand them out one at a time, because I just don't think that's as COVID safe, if you see what I mean. So I'm going to give everyone an envelope with everything in it, and I'm assuming people are just going to read it. Like when you're bored, you're going to pull out the next mission and read it, because why wouldn't you? So I'm not trying to keep it super safe, super secret even, because we want it to be super safe. So I'm going to go through it, and if you guys want to bail, we'll be on the Discord, which I'll put the link up now for those that don't want to. Let me just
sit through.
If you don't want to sit through the missions, but you do want to chat, that's the Discord link. Sign up there. We'll be on the chat for after this is done, but we'll do another sort of 15 minutes. We'll run through the missions in advance, and you guys can see what you're in for. So, and also, technically, you can give me last-minute bits of feedback because I've not printed them yet. But I'll probably ignore you because I'm at the point where I'm just sort of, I need to print these. I don't have time to start tweaking missions all the time. So, we're going to start with the planet rules first. So, Bondul, as a planet that is the recruiting world for the Imperium, there's going to be a rule that if you leave your unit in ruins on a roll of a 1, you take d6 wounds at AP dash, or an automatic lancing hit. That's for both players. It's not just a loyalist thing. The planet is in uproar and don't want people there. The next one, Avach, is going to have Speeder Signals. If your side is winning, then you get to reroll 1s on your reserve rolls, but it doesn't stack. So if you have something like a +1, you don't get to reroll the 1. It's only if you don't have it. I just think that's too powerful to have like +1 and reroll 1s. In the case of a tie, it's only the loyalist player that gets it because it's a loyalist system at the moment. Then I'm going to run through these because I think it's very important. So obviously want people to behave themselves. We're doing the Traitors again. If you do something cool, then let us know and we'll write it up. I've not really had many of these, and I think it's because people don't feel that their thing is cool enough. And if it's something like a tactical marine sergeant blows up a knight, I want to hear about it, because I will. If you have a name for that character, then they might feature in some of the write-ups. If you're using conversions, we just want you to give your opponent the benefit of the doubt. And you will not try and table your opponent or rob them of a proper game. And just to clarify again, if you do give up early, your opponent gets the maximum score possible and you get 0. And if you get tabled, you finish the game. Even if you're playing on your own, you have to finish the game. So if you table someone on turn 5 of a 7-turn game, you play the 2 turns, because if you don't make it onto the objectives, you don't win. We don't have an auto win at Heresy.Scot events, because I think that is crap if you can sit at the back of the board and shell someone off the board, and even though the objective is to get to their deployment zone, you win because you've run out of time. So we're not having that, which is just a reminder of that for people. We're doing the unfinished model rule. You lose if your model is not 3 colours in based. You're going to lose the Legionis Astartes rule for that unit, which means you have to use the lowest leadership value in the squad, and you don't gain any of your usual benefits. I don't think anyone's in this category yet, but that is something that we were asked to bring in last time. And then try and solve the rules disputes yourself. This is sort of has been written over time, so there will be additions to the rules going forward, but just to clarify them, everyone will get that in a little printout, so you've got it. Okay, so
Cool.
Let me just check the chat actually, in case someone's saying no one said anything good or
No,
bad.
it's all good at the minute.
Okay, so we wanted to make it easy for the first. By the way, Rachel drew these, and they're very, very good, and they're reusable for some of the stuff we've got lined up. Mission 1
Very cool.
is a bog standard core rulebook mission, because I know people who haven't played before are coming, and I know people who haven't played in like 2 years are coming. So mission 1 is very much just play the one out of the rulebook, because it will save you being like having to flick through to remember extra stuff just to get you bedded in. However, the traitor player can choose to deploy and go first, but if you don't want to go first and you want to go second, then you have to roll off. The idea with that is if you're a traitor player that wants to take the initiative, you can do so, but if you're wanting to play it cool, then you're going to have to roll off. So that is on it. This is what you're going to get, so don't worry about that. This is just me saving printer space, so when you're going for your best painted warlord, best painted army, who you are and all that stuff is all there for you. Then we've got mission 2, which is going to be Vanguard Strike. This one is the sheep mission. So you've got 7 sheep on the board. They'll be spaced out across the middle of the board. Just try and space them out as much as you can. You get 6 turns. Each marker, sheep marker, is worth 2 victory points that have it. There's Slay the Warlord, Attrition, and Sheep Rustler. So whoever has the most sheep at the end of the game gets another victory point. When you're in base contact with a sheep marker, a scoring unit can move it 6 inches with the marker, so you can move them about. Can't put them on a transport, but you can run and charge with them, but they cause a -2 modifier to charging. But they fight on your side in close combat, and they're pretty tasty, which I've been told is maybe overpowered, but I would rather they were good than shit. Their weapons go 3 attack, strength 4, initiative 2, and they are AP 3. They can't be hurt or killed at any point, which is maybe something that isn't clear on here actually. I'll just put that in now. Other units like denial units, they can only stand next to the sheep and guard them as a standard objective marker. You can't move them. You're not qualified to do so. If night fighting is in effect during the battle, then when it becomes daylight again, the sheep become AP2. And that's just because I wanted to use Red Sky in the morning as a tab. So sorry for that if people find that cringy, but that's the sort of shit that you get when you come to our events. So that's a pretty standard mission. Just grab the objectives. There was one in the 4th or 5th edition rulebook that was called Relic, and that was kind of this one. Just feels a bit from that.
Couple of questions.
Oh, people in the chat or you?
Well, Finn, I think it was Finn. No, Bing Bong Heresy. Can one unit herd more than 1 sheep a turn?
No.
Nope. There you go.
So add that right now. This is good to have this actually.
Yeah. And another one from me actually. The night fighting effect thing. Obviously, if you start the game and you roll, there's no night fighting in effect. Then obviously the sheep will never be AP2. Correct. Yes. Just in case people misunderstand that.
Okay.
Perfect.
Let's see.
Any more questions? Anyone else?
Is it sheep? Is it power sword? You can't scout them before the game. No. that. I don't think that would work because they won't be in your deployment zone, so that you shouldn't be able to get in base contact with them at the start of the game and move. Like you could scout, you could infiltrate onto them and move, I guess, but I'm fine with that. That doesn't matter to me. Okay, so then these are all getting, for some reason, they're getting pulled out. This one is Clash of the Line. You do the usual stuff. There will be an objective or an objectives depending on which one you're given. The reason it's objectives is I've got little generator models. So I've either got a big base, you'll have seen me shared them in the Discord. There's like a big thing, or there's two little ones that will be in the middle of the board. You just want to hold that. And that is so you control key infrastructure on the planet. I'm deliberately scrolling past some of the story and stuff because you might want to see something as a bit of a surprise. But you get 6 victory points if you control it. You have to have a scoring unit within 3 inches of it, and your opponent has to have no scoring unit or denial unit within 3 inches to get it. That is all that matters in this game. There's no other sort of surprise there. If, though, you put a blast marker on the objective, you roll a dice with these modifiers. If you roll a 1, then you blow up the objective and you suffer -10 victory points, which will... when you write up your score, it won't be you write I scored 0. It could, in theory, be you're writing I scored -10, which will harm your side's chances of winning the planet. And that is a very simple mission with the objective of, please, I want that objective. Let's see, has anyone said anything there? Not yet. You keep me right.
I like that. That's a very cool.
So
that's a very cool wee mission bit there.
And it scales
with the blasts.
worse. So you can take a gamble if you shot. Someone's got a Typhon, shoot the Typhon, -1, -2 because it's a large blast. Hope you don't roll a 3. You can still do it. So
that's cool.
We'll see what people say. More followers. No thanks, Jonas Garcia. No one's saying anything about that, so I'll carry on. Then we're on a search and destroy one. It's basically the one that was published, not the one that just came out from Forge World, the one before. I quite liked the staged arrival on that. So it's stolen that. And the objective is to chase each other off at this point. If, though, you're on Bondo Planet and you had the generator, then at the end of game turn 3, you can turn night fighting on. Sorry, if you held the objective at the end of game 3, you can decide if night fighting's in effect on each turn. So you could play the entire game in the dark if you're fighting on Bondo. But once you turn them on, it's on.
That is powerful for Night Lords.
So there's certain players that might do alright from that. Certain players won't. And I don't know what planet each person's on at the moment. I've just started calculating that. I was doing it before the stream, so there's enough Night Lords player that one of them is bound to be on there, so you might get that benefit. And then the very last mission, Dawn of War, bog standard, favourite deployment. Everyone wants to play this one if they can. This one is, there's going to be D3 plus 2 objective markers. You just put them spaced out around the battlefield. Each of them is worth 3 victory points if you can get it. There's Slay the Warlord and Attrition. At this point, the markers, at the start of every shooting phase, you put down a marker, which is going to be the sheep again. These are scatter 3d6 inches, but then anyone within 6 inches takes a strength 5 AP-hit. And they stay in play and cause that every subsequent shooting phase. So that's every player turn.
Oh, yes.
So this is Firetide from the Black Book Betrayal, if you've ever played that, slightly modified. So turn 1, I'm playing Richard. Turn 1, start my shooting phase, I put a marker down. It lands next to Alfarius. Turn 1 for him, he puts one down, it scatters off the board. But Alfarius still gets hit if he doesn't move. Like, that is how brutal. By turn 5, there'll be 10 markers on the board hitting things, hopefully. And that's potentially, if it hits a bit of terrain, it blocks line of sight in that terrain piece. So it's going to be like Savage at the end of the game. And if you held the other type of marker, not the generators, the actual big Bowser things, then you can get rid of one of the markers on a 4+ every turn. So trying to make it a bit sort of like you're washing away the sins of the planet at that point. Then we've got the Sportsmanship Award, which is the last thing you'll be doing. And that is a sort of whistle-stop tour, just to give you a chance to get your head round what we're aiming for. Let me see if anyone has said anything. Ravenguard with goggles. Can I bring any sheep I finish game 2 with me to the following games? I suppose so, but then they'll be coming in that final game. Playing versus Night Lords, maybe take the 10 victory point penalty so they can't have it next game.
That would. I mean, I don't know if Bing Bong's joking there, but that would affect his whole team if 3 of them did that, wouldn't it?
If they destroyed it.
As in your -10 VP, you apply those VP to your overall.
Yeah. So it could
score.
You could lose. The planet could be lost by like 1 victory point, and that could be because someone got a -10 and evaporated the generator or whatever. So sheep run from a hose. So I don't like. You can be. There's enough time for minor tweaks, like adding those things that you've just said there. Please don't ask for a full rule overhaul, because this has taken a long time to get to this point. And the only real reason I'm sort of sharing it, I know some people do prefer to come like blind. I know I'm not sure if Welshie's still there. He was quite keen not to see it, but I think in this exam, just because of COVID, it is really important that like what I don't want is to have lots of people around me at the table asking me these sorts of questions that I've not clarified. So it's kind of a chance for you guys to say, I don't like this bit or I do like this bit. And that's, so take it. I'm not going to be offended, but it's not going to be, I'm well aware it's not going to be the same event as normal, just because of the nature of face masks and like whether we're blind. That's true, you do. If you lost your glasses, you'd be in a bit of bother. Like face masks. I'm not even sure what the situation. I need to speak to Steve because I was waiting as late as possible. I think the situation will be you wear face masks to and from your table, and then at your table, technically, you don't have to wear them. But we've all been to, well, most of us have been to Common Ground games and know it's quite cramped, so you might find you want to wear them during your game. But I know how uncomfortable that could be for folks. So it's that sort of. It's going to be a great event because I'm going to do my best to make it a great event, but it's equally. I'm well aware there's going to be those limitations as well. So no one's saying like I don't know if it's worse that people aren't saying anything.
I think those missions are great. Nice and thematic. You know, there's not too much to take in from them. They're pretty laid back, easy to follow. Especially when we've not played in a long time. A lot of people. You don't want to come to an event and you've got to spend about 10 minutes trying to get through all the mission rules in your head. They're great.
Good amount of farm animals. Well, so I'll go back. I'll come off this if it'll let me. I'll probably end up ruining. Turn off Chrome. Oh, I've got the wrong thing up now. You're not visible, Richard.
I know, because I'm just on voice.
So
because we were just going through that. So I'll just leave it like this.
I've got my lovely map. Rachel printed this for me, so thank you very much, Rachel. Is that back to front? That's weird. So I've got my map. I've got my stickers for who wins. I probably only need the ones on the top because the traitors don't seem capable of winning anything at any Heresy.Scot events. I've got these, your giveaways. Some of them anyway, which are the icon of the battlefield you're fighting on. So there's sort of like a slide, a 10. You're getting 5 big, 5 medium, 5 small off the cross, the saltire, and the horse head with lightning bolt. Look helpy, that's what it's meant to be. But they need to dry a bit better, that's why they're sat here. And then all those under there are lots and lots and lots of sheep. 201 sheep, and a few of them are goats, but that's just have to be. Could I put them on the models on Saturday night? You could if you want. They are I guess they kind of are veteran honours. So this is 2 years ago they were designed. The idea being Richard was the inspiration. You probably won't want to admit it, but Richard, I'll come back to Finn's comment. Richard had said, like, why not do something like a honor marking or a banner marking or something like that? So I gave it a go using paper I bought off Amazon, and it's all right. They're not brilliant transfer sheets because they show the edge really, like you'll have to cut them quite close with a scalpel before you take them off slide them off the sheet, because they show that sort of plasticky shit that they're done on. But they're all right. Actually, they go on not too bad, and the colours aren't too bad. So there's ones that will fit, like if you wanted to put them on the side of a leg or something like that, or on a part of like they wouldn't be front and center of your banner, but they could go on like a corner of the banner to show that you'd fought there. I just thought that's quite a cool giveaway thing, something to try.
Yeah.
And then people are getting this is helping me try and remember what I've got to pack. We've got to get the people that rolled over their ticket once are getting one of the fancy badges that isn't going to be available anywhere else. And I need to remember to pack those and ask people. And then people that I think we're going to do, you're getting the other badge. So there's 2 gold badges we got made like 2 years ago. I think I'm going to give away the other gold badge as a thanks for coming, make up 2 years worth of waiting, which will be nice. And to go back to Finn's comment, I'm going to be so angry if I come all this way to get a table with goats on. I'll do my best. It's only relevant for the final game because there's 200 sheep markers, there's 40 people coming. So everyone's getting a sheep on the 7 objective marker table because I only need 140, if I've done my maths right. Can't help it, he's too handsome. Anyway, I don't think I've got anything else. I've talked far too much, Richard. Anything to add?
No, because you've done all the talking.
I definitely have. That's my fault.
Nah, it's all good. It's all good. We went through the lists. You just talked through them. We picked out what we liked. It's all good.
We had our lovely,
it's a good show.
Lovely
I think
issues.
everyone enjoyed it.
I think they're all.
What's that?
We got through our issues, tech
Yeah.
issues. Rachel
Yeah,
safety.
fuck knows what that was about.
We've got people flirting in the chat. So that
yeah, it's getting steamy at this time, isn't it?
This Discord link, which I'll post again. So we do usually go on for a little bit. I know it's 10 to 11, but we've been on quite late sometimes. I'll probably be on for a wee bit after I get another glass of water and do another piss. Have a bit of chat. You guys can talk and I'll rest my voice. I'm trying to keep it PG. Love to see the stats. Yeah, I'll see if I can do some more stats on the sort of number of stuff, because I think that is quite interesting. Tell me what was wrong with my lists. Nothing was wrong with your lists. I said Bazzy's list's going to be alright because it's lots of infantry and no morale checks. It'll be quite hard to shift. And I can't remember what I said about your list. Nothing bad.
It was colourful. That was it.
Hate the player, not the game. And so we'll go on the Discord. Thanks for listening in. Thank you to Rachel, as always, for tech support and for doing most of that work on that stuff there. She did all the map, she's made it, she designed it, printed all the stuff for me today. She'll be printing all the missions tomorrow, so she is an absolute legend. It's great being married to someone who does all the hard work. And I get to do the nice bits. And thanks, Richard, for looking at the missions and looking at the list on the Traitor side in advance. That's always helpful. Thanks, Gary, for looking at the Loyalist side, but he's not here. And I'll speak to you guys soon then, I guess.
Yeah, see you later.
Okay.
Thanks very much.
Thank you very much. Speak to you soon.
See you later. Bye.